We are going to see if this puppy is working. If you pop in here, let me know if audio is working. If you'd be so kind, say the audio's good, or just hit the like button if you like. Anywho, so I was thinking about that hustling I was talking about earlier. If you were here for the live stream, I had to jump off the kiddos, all that good stuff. Genie. Where's my water? Forgot my water. But anyways, what I was getting at is I was thinking about the BNI groups is another thing. Mr. Garage Door Guy, he's always here for me. Appreciate the support. How you doing? Hope you're doing good. What's the temperature? Mr. Garage Door Guy, what's the temperature around your place? Because if it's warm, I'm coming down. But no, I was thinking about the BNI groups, and I never really touched base on that because I kind of forgot to put that in the last video and the one I made for you guys. And anyways, 25. Yeah, I'm good. I can 25. We're sitting about the same, 20, 25, somewhere around here. And today the wind was cold. I was trying to get some stuff cleaned outside. It's just freezing. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you spray it on the vehicle, it just like turns into whiteness and frozen. And you're like, this is awesome. My thumb went numb today because it was so bad. It still has actually that little tender spot in it. Not digging the cold. Next week, I think around Tuesday or so, we're supposed to get some nicer. Yeah, he even says with a lot of wind. That's right, man. The winter's been really good to us, at least, for around here in Michigan. But you still always want more, right? You still always want the nicer weather. You want the warmth because you get spoiled. And I'm so glad we got most of it that melted off because we got dumped on. So anywho, on these BNI groups, and you guys can let me know. I've gone to some of these BNI groups, and they're kind of hyped up. There's like realtors in there, and there's other small business owners. And it's never a bad idea to get around more small business owners. I mean, you never know what's going to click. But I think the BNI groups kind of work like a pyramid a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. But I just know the guy that brung us into it, he actually sold meat. And then there was a carpenter that came with, and then there was me. And they go around and they do the whole, how you doing and stuff. And I guess it kind of depends on what you want to do too. It doesn't hurt, right, to get around and rub elbows. With some great-minded people. But I wanted to touch base because I know Tanner, he said something about those realtors, and I was talking about the realtors, and I personally have had kind of some bad experiences. I know they're not all bad. What's up? I don't know. Is that Brazil? Marines? Good evening. Good evening. And who's this guy? Says, shut up, please. Hey, man. You got to be a man in this world. I didn't make you push the button. You can always turn it off. There's always somebody in the bunch, right? Anyways, so you got to think about when you go to those BNIs, it's pretty hyped up. You got to have a lot of business cards. And, it's not a bad thing. But I wanted to address those churches again. And the reason I don't like the churches is because, like I said, and this can go for a lot of things. We have a community that we work for. And they have to have a meeting. And this is just my opinion that I've actually had problems with. Let me see if I can do this. Like this. And we don't know. He says there's always that. Hey, man, the world, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It doesn't offend me because I love being able to talk to you guys, and I got so many guys calling me and texting me and emailing me, and it's wonderful. I love the questions. I love to be able to help. I'm hoping soon enough I get a helicopter and I can just come fly over and I can just help you guys. That's what I'm aiming for. Because, what was it, Mike? Mike had a problem. And if the roads were better and stuff and it was a little bit bigger, I was like, you know what? I might just come on down and check it out. He had a commercial job, but the springs and the cable came off and it was doing some wonky stuff. And I think he's getting into commercial, and that's awesome. You know, because I think for some of you guys, you know, I think they end up, you know, some of you guys are noticing with the residential, you know, comment below. You guys are noticing that the residential's probably drying up a little bit. And that's just, I mean, I know I can see it around, you know, our business. And that's going to be really, really common. You know, I mean, that's going to happen because with the economy the way it is, you know, I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I crazy for having this where it's, I think the economy's not as good as what it shows on, you know, when they come out with their jobs report. I think it's really hyped up. I don't think it is what it says it's going to be. So, but anywho, working around the shop today. Like I said, we had a frozen pipe at the shop because it's been so cold, and it's a known problem. We got a wash station out here that I thought would be a good idea for the guys in the past. I don't know how to say it. I'll say Belle. Can you say hi? Hi. Hi, everyone. Like I said, if anything, in the comments, put some questions. Do garage door questions if you got anything. Because I come on here and I do it for you guys. So if you guys got something that stimulates my brain, I'm like, oh, yeah, I got that. I've had that problem before. I always like to help out as much as I can. Triplex springs. What did we... Triplex? Is that 3 springs? I've done duplex. You know, where it's 2 springs, you know, a small spring inside of another spring. But triplex, you talking like 3 springs? Dude, that's nuts. What is that? Is that what Hunting says? Man, that's crazy. I can't imagine. I remember with the... holy cow. Really? Man, Hunting Adventures. You should send me some pictures. I put my number... I don't know why. I should always write it down. I don't know why I write it down. It's just 231-720-9675. But if you get pictures like that or you want to email me, typically I put the email in most of my videos. It's the daveadubson@gmail.com. But that stuff, man, I'd like to see that. Because I tell you what, the biggest spring I remember I ever did was for the road commission. And it was approximately right around 6 foot, 6-inch diameter. And I don't remember what the wire size was, but it was like the size of like a finger. You know what I mean? It was huge wire size. And they were high cycle, whatever, you know. And we got 2 guys in the lift, and I thought that was enough. And I mean, we were screaming. We did it with 3 guys. So our joke always was, man, we're doing that spring again. We need, 2 men and a midget. Because it was just everything you could. I mean, your shirt, everything had the spring markings on you, from taking the old ones off. I mean, we were just doing you guys know how it is, right? You're sitting there, and you got the spring, and you're like, you got it, and you're trying to throw it in the lift. Holy moly. That was a monster. And I think that one was it was weird. It was like because normally solid shafts inch. It was 1.25 inches or something like that. So everything was just massive on this thing. All right, let's see here. What do we got? For big builders that build huge residential villages and lowball you to yeah, so is it Naito the first? So I don't know. I've tried with some builders before, and especially when they're the cookie cutters, doing spec homes and stuff like that. I've never had really good luck. I can't make them work. The numbers don't work. And those guys can, those guys can be a little tricky because those guys will almost make, there's kind of like an illusion in your head, right, in business. And you'll start doing this, right, and you'll be busy. And that's the problem. You're busy. You're busy, but you're not profitable. And I've done it myself. And so you got where, you'll start doing this, and sometimes you can get snowballed, right? You're just doing so much and you're not doing all the invoicing behind the scenes if you're kind of 1 or 2 or 3 man band. And you can get caught up where all of a sudden, you're getting behind 2, 3, 6 doors, and you're like, well, he's always paid, he's paid. We're good. And next thing you know, they go belly up, or you're the last one on the check sheet, the checklist, to get paid. And I know back in the 06, 08, I had two garage door companies around here. I would say they were pretty good size. They weren't huge. They weren't our huge ones, but they were the mid-size ones. And they went belly up because, and I was trying at the time, right? Because when I was first starting out, it was like, I mean, there's such an illusion because these guys, driving brand new SUVs. I mean, they look like Donald Trump driving around. I mean, brand new vehicles, 2 guys in a truck, the sunglasses. I mean, everything was looking spectacular. And come to find out, they were in debt. Then, what was the worst thing? I don't know if you guys do this or not. They were making the guy. I knew one of the guys, and I talked to him kind of after, I was in business longer. And he was telling me, he says, they would make us, and he goes, you know how they don't put no backfill in the garage? He goes, yeah. He goes, we were installing garage doors. I mean, we're talking like an 8 to 12 foot drop. So they're putting extension, or pull-out ladders, whatever, on the side to stack the door. They put bolts in the track in the bottom. And there's no floor, nothing. And that's how they were, like, I guess in a nutshell, trying to keep up. You know what I mean? So they were like putting these doors in because they wanted them, because that way when the floor got poured, they could, have a garage door there. It was a stupid. And it was telling me the money they were making, and it wasn't worth it. So my opinion is the builders, not the residential. It's just not. It's not for us, anyways. I've never had good luck with them. The margins are too small. Not saying it can't be, because you do think about the one thing that's nice. You're not tearing out a door, so you don't have the downtime of tearing out. You don't have the debris. Now, hopefully, they build the jams correct. Because I've had some that don't build them, and then it's like you're furring it out, and you're going, hey man, I'm not getting paid another $50, $60, $100, whatever it is, with nails and my nail gun. And, if you don't have a cordless one, you got to bring you got to buy one, all these things, the gas is for them. It adds up. It adds up a lot. Max, what does this say? What's Grizz say? What do you think of the new Maximum line? Is that supposed to be like Genie? I don't really know. I don't know. I was talking to Mike. Mike was telling me in his garage door business that he just buys them from the store, and he's not a big operation. I think he's pretty much a one-man band, and he maybe have a helper or something. But I was thinking about it, I was like, man, if you're kind of one-man band, I was like, buying them from the store probably isn't that bad of a gig, because if you have any problems, if you're buying a residential garage door opener, I even looked at them today, and I'm looking at it, at Lowe's, and I'm going $179 for a Genie, and I'm like, does it come with 2 remotes? It does. And then it even says on there, pre-programmed. I thought they're even programmed, for obviously the homeowner. But I just thought, boy, what a convenient that if that thing, you go install it, it's going to take you just a touch longer, the rails. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of the rails and all that stuff, but I thought you put that thing together and it fails, throw that piece of junk right back in the box, take it right back to the store, go, here you go. You're my secretary, you're everything, you're another helper. I need a refund or I need another one, swap out, and they'll do it right then and there. Because typically those places, they don't care, right? They're just going to send it back to wherever it goes, and they're going to get, or maybe they don't. But I thought, now for like our business here, it doesn't work really so good, because you got employees, and I guess you could make it, but the thing is, you got to have people that have credit cards, they got to have receipts, they got to have the authority, it just kind of gets weird. No. So on Mr. Hunting, the triplexes, I don't think I've ever done a triplex. I've done duplex, with the 2 springs, but I've never done a triplex. Like I said, it'd be cool to see one, because, That's nuts, man. I mean, I've seen them before. One of our competition, what they'll do is they'll actually put in the ones that got, I think they're duplex still, but they're stacked. Clopay does it, where they have a spring, on the bottom two of them, then they'll have another stack, and they got two separate different cables, which just seems really goofy. Like, I don't want to work on this thing if it ever fails. All right, let's see. It says that's crazy. In North Wisconsin, nice. Good old Wisconsin. Wisconsin, there's always stuff over there I want to buy in Wisconsin, and the darn thing, it's always a booger because you got the darn lake in the way. So you got to take the ferry. We use winding drill. Nice. Is that the one that's the brand, though? Because there's different brands out there, or different manufacturers, I should say. And, what's this say? Back in the day. Overhead. Oh, yeah, Ventures, we did a lot of that. It says, I mean a lot. Oh, that's cool. That's, like I said, those are some big springs, man. I remember the duplex we did the one time, and it was like, almost like two guys on the bar. It was the biggest bar he had, and it's like you're watching the bar bend, and you're like, holy crap, is this thing going to make it? Is it going to blow up in my face? Oh, the LiftMaster. So, I don't know much on the LiftMaster. I didn't know LiftMaster was come out with the Maxi. I know, or is it am I saying that right? They got, all I know right now is I've been hearing about the commercial that they're going to the DC on the commercial side. And I'm not a big fan of that. I was told at one time, by one of the salesmen at LiftMaster, and this guy was basically retired. And so he's been there for a long time. And he said, he goes, why they're doing the DC motors, and I said, I don't know, the variable speed, slow stop, start, which is kind of nice. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's cool looking, it's more innovative. And he said, no, he goes, they're cheaper. He goes, the motors are cheaper. And I was like, yeah, it's always a bean counter. You know what I mean? It's like, it never fails. And I just go, man, with those DC ones, I know they can do a lot of gear reductions and stuff. I just still can't get on board. DC is like, to me, is like, I think of an RC car. You know what I mean? Like, that thing can go fast, but it doesn't have the torque. It doesn't have the RPMs, the grunt. I'm still waiting for somebody to find me a mechanical limits opener still. I even tried looking to see maybe if like you guys ever see the chainsaws that are made, I think it's like Holzman or something is one of the companies, and they're made over in China. It's like the rights got left or they got sold. And so like instead of it being a steel, it's a knockoff, which, it's not as good, but it's an old carbureted versus electronics. And so I've been trying to see if I can find, somebody that, does something like that, where it's like with the openers, mechanical limit still, because I just think it'd be so nice. Because over here in Michigan, I'm sure Wisconsin has it too. They got some pretty rural areas. I watch a few guys on YouTube over there. And, we deal with a lot of power outages. We deal with a lot of, we have to set things with generators, which LiftMaster does not like you to do that. And I don't know if that's been some of our problems over the years with, setting generators, and that's why they've lost their limits. I've tried different things. You run the door multiple times. You let it sit for 5-10 minutes with a generator on it. And it's not always consistent. You know what I mean? Yes, right on. Hated retrofitting. Yeah, it's... Shout out. My name is it Ella? Cool. What's up, Ella? I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Horrible names. Did garage doors for over 40 years. Holy cow, Mr. Hunter. Or Mr. Hunting, I should say. We need to call you H.A. We're going to call you H.A. That's a long time, man. 40 years. What are you, Come on, Mr. H.A. Give us some insight. You know what I'm saying? Like, 40 years, man. I've been doing it 18. And you still got your rotor cups? Shoulders? You have any surgeries? You still in it? Gone off to something else? Like, what's kind of the story on it? Still doing it? Did 40 years, right? It was almost 3 inch long. Holy gosh. 3/4 or arm killers. Oh my gosh. Oh man. What's up, Mr. Garage Force One? Oh no, man. Come on, Mr. Garage Force One. Come on. Don't say that, man. That LiftMaster is junk because, well, I think Cap of the shop here was going to go back to LiftMaster because right now he's having a heck of a time with Genie. I guess the RPM sensors or something have been torqued down and they're failing. That's not good. That's not good. This is Grizzly. I do residential and commercial garage doors and repairs. Decided to do an epoxy floor for one of my customers and got my butt kicked today. It's funny that Grizzly, you do epoxy flooring. My brother-in-law, he's just started his business. I think he's maybe about a year and a half, maybe 2 the most, and he's doing it. And yeah, it's hard work, man. And I love it, right? Because I love everything, right? I love electrical, I love plumbing, I love floors, everything, right? I love learning. And it's just fun to see because I was thinking today we got the shop and it's not, the floor here is not doing so good. It's got the stainage from where we walk and it's probably gonna have to get tore up. So I thought, well, I might have to contact him to see about hooking a brother up because it's not doing so good. And but you can, they make money. Everything is, you can make money. I helped them though. Sorry about that. It's power. I helped them with a job. And it's a lot of bending over. But they got some cool little carts. And I thought, man, those carts would look sweet for the carts that you kneel on and you put your chest on it. I thought that'd be great for a loop, which I know a lot of you guys don't do gates, but put a loop in the concrete because, man, I tell you, getting older, especially when you get a gut on you, bending over is not that easy anymore. Oh, no. 3-shoulder rebuild. Oh, no. I wondered because I know a guy who works at a shop. He used to run a garage door business, and he had I think he had 1, maybe 2. I can't remember. I have some horror stories. Come on, man. Lay them in. 40 years, dude. I mean, my hat's off to you for that. That's awesome. 40 years. I mean, you're the type of guy that I gotta stay in touch with because gotta teach the next generation, man, the ups and downs and in betweens. Because I think a lot of business owners can relate, but it feels like you're always going crazy. You're like, am I doing something wrong? Am I screwing up? What is going on? Why is this? And a customer blows up at you, or whatever the case may be, or a job doesn't go right. And so I was talking with Mike that runs his, and he's down in I believe Indiana, and he went there yesterday. It was yesterday, and door was crooked. Somebody had a forklift under it. He's showing me a video of it running, and I'm like, there's something jamming up on that thing. And they had some weird hoist on the side, and I said, I'd disconnect that chain. I said, you got to dump the springs. You got to start over. I said, see where this door is at, because he says it's running real heavy. And I said, I should be able to lift it up by hand, and I'm like, yeah. Even though it was a big door, it was like a 12 by 14 or 12 by 18. So it was a big door. And, you know somebody was messing with it because they got a maintenance guy. And those maintenance guys, I don't know about those maintenance guys sometimes. They're a blessing or a curse sometimes, because they start monkeying with stuff, and then you get there and you try to play detective, and it's like, well, I did this, and I did that, and I did this, and you're like, I don't know how this thing failed. Why did this thing fail? They don't really have a good description typically. Mr. Hunter, he goes, I always loved LiftMaster. I love LiftMaster. I love the old ones. Was it 3265s or whatever? That was my, we had mechanical limits, and they had a little quirk to them. They get that little corrosion. I don't know did you guys ever scrape off the connectors? That's what I learned how to do. Take a razor blade and, you ever have it so where the opener was pushing the trolley down, it would buck, the rail, the T-rail, whatever. And then you have to take the cover off, scrape those little connectors. There was nothing there. It was never like it was like a film. That always took care of it. I'd take a little razor blade, scrape. And and I get it work, but you can never get it torqued in the right spot. You give it just a little hair, and it would just be too much. That was the only one thing I didn't like about mechanical limits, but I just trusted them. If it was new construction, you power it off. I always trust them. You plug that thing in 10 years later, it's going to have the same limits. It's good to go. Besides, a mouse or something did something. Bird nests. We always got a bird nest on top of them. I never seen a mouse on one, but I've seen bird nest on plenty of them. I have always, let's see, still hand residential doors. Oh, probably hang is what's the jack shaft motor you like the most? Jack shaft. That's the only thing is jack shaft. Are we talking residential? Or are we talking commercial? So residential, I'm still a Genie fan when it comes to the residential jack shafts. Just because when whatever we have installed, which is maybe around somewhere between 10 plus, we haven't had any callbacks. But I got burned so bad on those lift masters, was it the 8300s or 8500s when they kind of first came out? I just had so many problems with them, and then I get so many people that beat me up on the cable sensitive, and I don't know. I just had horrible experience with them, and after callback after callback, and like I said, there's still one I drive past once in a while, and I look at it, it's way back off the road, and I go, I haven't ever been back to that place ever since I put a Genie screwdriver trolley on it, and the door kind of ran a little bit, somewhat crappy, tight, which was, I'm not saying that, that was part of it too, but I guess if you guys have installed, like the problem was the steel was put up to it. So they had steel wrapped on the inside of the building, so the steel was smashed to it. So it was like, I'm not grinding and doing all the J and stuff, so the door was already installed. I didn't install it. One of the workers did. They put the trolley on there, or I'm sorry, the jack shaft. It just didn't work. And we had another one that did the same thing. It just, I've had them just completely quit working. I've installed a couple for my mother-in-law that had problems. All of a sudden, like the keypad would quit working. It'd lose its, it was just weird things. But with commercial, we were pretty stuck with, well, I think we're still using the Genie jack shaft openers. So that's just mine, like I said, I'm not too, I like it, whatever keeps me from having service calls back, because those are not going to make me no money. You lose money when you go back to these jobs, I was mostly commercial and owned two. Well, dang, man. You own two? Like, what did you own? Like, were you doing, like, residential? Was this another garage door business? Was it, like, flooring? Was it, can I get a little more details? But you said you were doing commercial, mostly commercial. So, Mr. H.A. is what I call you. Hope you don't mind. I'm kind of curious, if you were doing mostly commercial, something I'd like to run past you. Did you ever feel like you liked the new, like, let's say for a builder, you do new installs, right? You're going to do all new commercial, or were you just doing service? Because I always looked at it like, I didn't do it real heavily. We still got builders that we do. But I like it because it's kind of like you can kind of schedule it, right? Like, this building is going to take them so long to build. And what my theory was is over time, what I was going to do is, I didn't implement it. I was going to get it so you could do those commercials and get it so you knew, like, you're like, okay, well, this week in 3 weeks, the guys are all going to be put on this job. And we know the next job, they haven't even poured the footings. So that's going to be that's going to take another 2 to 3 weeks for them to do this job, because it's going to be 6, 8, 12 doors, whatever. And then the beautiful part about it is, and I just bring this up so you're kind of exercising your brain on this, because it might be something you just never thought of. But you can think about it, and you could you could schedule this stuff out, right? And they're bigger jobs, so sometimes it'll eat you up because you don't got the cash flow. But they're new. And so I think that's why sometimes our bigger door companies, and what they'll do is they'll gang up. But they're new, right? So when you think about it, this is just my opinion. With brand new garage doors, especially if they're commercial, you can install them and you can get away with a lot. What do you mean? Well, a little oil? Psh, you can spray it. It's going to make it past a year. Now, another thing for Mr. HA would be how long, if you're doing commercial and you were installing new, would the builder make you warranty them for? Was it for a year? Because I've heard one, I don't know if he was joking me, he says, we got a warranty for 5 years. And I thought, he's never called us back in 3 years and said, hey, they got a problem, you need to come back and fix this. We always did a year. So I just always, what's your thoughts on that? What does it say? On the scraping. What's the most? Get your guys, the Sure Winders. Saves the shoulder. I've been looking. I gotta put my brain back into that mode because I know there's a couple that I was looking at, but I don't want the one. There's one that you got to use like a 3/4 inch drill. I don't remember what brand that was. And I thought, there ain't no way they're not going to be, we have to buy every truck a 3/4 drill. And then you got to have power. You know how that is. And you're up in a lift and stuff, good luck, Chuck. Not that's impossible, but I wanted the one that was going to be, obviously you could just use a corded, half chuck, whatever, a small 18 volt or whatever it is, drill, so definitely need to look into it though. But I think those things still have a caveat to them, but I bet they could help you out in a lot of situations, and anything you can do to help the old shoulder is a huge, huge thing, Mr. H.A. hunting, scraping. On the scraping, cable tensions, nightmare tension, yeah. Drone? Was it Bama drone? Cable tensioner, nightmares. Yeah, the cable, and like I said, this is just, oh, there we go. He's got his name on there, Dan. Call him Dan. That's a good name. It's my dad's name. And, yeah, so there was always like this hype for those jack shaft openers, the residential ones, and there was a streak going for quite a while where we go there and they were promoting the stuff so heavy on the TV. People, I want the jack shaft, and I'm like, you don't want that stupid jack shaft. And I think they have a purpose, in certain applications, but I think they're hyped up too much, and it's just not the right way to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, you're basically dumping the spring in a sense, and then the door falls, and then you got to have that lock because if, somebody was to, and I've had the locks fail on the LiftMasters, little pin, and they get jammed, and then it just, go there and this thing right here is all bent, and you're like, oh, now the door's compromised a little bit there, and it just, to me, it's just not the right way to do it. I don't see, sometimes you get people that don't have outlets there, so you go to install it and you're like, you got an extension cord, and then, the light is kind of awkward now. It's got to be put, like I said, I think it's got its place. There's no doubt. They're cool, they're slick. But I can't ever get on board. They're just not the right way to do it. To me, it's like a tire is round for a reason on a car. Don't try to make it square. You know what I mean? And, I understand where jack shaft openers, I look at it and I go, I know where jack shafts came from. They came from full vertical dock doors is basically the idea, because you can't do a trolley on there unless you get creative doing it on the side, which I've seen that, and it's a little weird. But, let's see. I'm thinking about plenty of wire. How did I miss this? What did I do? Back day, you never put jack shaft on a standard. That's right, Dan. I agree, man. That's kind of how I am. Back in the day, we didn't do jack shaft. You just don't do jack shaft. Jack shaft is for high lift, and it is for full vertical lift. That's it. You know what I mean? And the reason is because, like on a commercial, you got the door hanging there. If it's a high lift, you got 1 or 2 panels, hopefully, that's hanging there. That's the weight to help pull it down, because you know, these things, it's like everything works great when you first install it. But for me, for my business, I can't like, I don't want in a year or 3 years or whatever come back and this thing is like making all kinds of noise. The customer decided to have the concrete blown out of their drive or out of the ground. They got dust and sand everywhere, and now the door's hanging up. It's doing weird things. If anything, I want to go up there and turn a little knob, right? And turn up the force settings on that puppy, or the ones that learn, which I know LiftMaster. But with the problem is, like I said, you're chancing it. You're not moving the door. You're dumping a spring basically. And if that has any kind of issues, I've seen them before. I've seen them pop real hard, like in the Frozen up here in Michigan. For whatever reason, you know, they get frozen. You hear it like, it'll start doing something, and it's like a pow, and it'll jump the door. I've seen it pop the cables off, and it's like, they just do weird things to me. You know what I mean? I mean, I know you guys got deep pockets. I don't. You know what I mean? Every time I go back to a service call and it's free, we're not making no money, you know, and the customer's upset, and it's like, nope, don't want that problem. All right, let's see where we're at. It's hard to read these sometimes. Cables, so if I miss one, I apologize. Back in the day, never, yes. No, the one thing I hated about Genie openers in general, let's see, is that even though they give you plenty of wire, it is the cheapest wire ever. I agree, man. I agree. Genie wire is like, this is my thought. I always figured Genie was good for Genie openers, residential, was good for like residential, like a builder. Like the builder they already drywalled the house, you know, or the garage for you. Oh, sorry about that. So they already drywalled everything for you. That's where I thought Genie shined to me, because I thought, hey, we got this photo eye that basically, you know, doesn't have no wires. So like LiftMaster, you know, you got to chop them, then you got to do your little splicey thing where, you know, Genies, you just take the, hopefully if the electrician ran it like a good doobie, they, you know, you could just take those wires, stick them in the back of your photo eyes, and they just mounted to the wood, which normally there was wood right there, which was nice. Because, you know, I'm just not a fan of mounting to the track. The LiftMasters do work. They work fine. I really hardly ever had any problems with them. But I just like, you know, I can mount these back a little bit, maybe out of the sun or anything that's going to be goofy. But Genie was always like, man, if I was working for a builder, then he's just cookie cutting you know, I was like, I'm going Genie, you know, because LiftMaster, it was like, you know, yeah, you got to cut the wire. It's not the end of the world. You can splice them and all that. It just, for whatever reason, a Genie felt more for like spec homes, where when I go into an old man's house or whoever, old ladies, whatever, too, you know, and I'm doing a revamping basically the garage, tearing out opener door. You know, the LiftMaster's nice. It's already got the wires on the photo eyes, which is you just unravel. And I agree, the wire is a lot nicer. I like its color. Genie's weird though. Genie's, you know, it's nice that you can switch the wires. It doesn't matter, right? It just works. I might have to walk over to their desk and plug this phone in. It says only installing, Drone says only installing high lift doors from now on. Oh man. High lift says let me walk over here. See if we can walk over here. Might grab a water too. I definitely want to hear from Dan though. I want Dan. Dan's gonna have to reach out to me and talk to me about this 40 years in business, man, because we got our hats off to him for that. Might be dark for a second. I'm working on the plumbing out here, so it's a mess. I had a frozen pipe. I had a water somewhere. So don't mind me for a second. You guys, I'll answer your questions. Whew. It's chilly out here. Hopefully nothing goes crazy with the water. Oh yeah, Genie. Oh, you guys, I know you guys like the lifts. Here's our big boy. That's our big boy. That works really nice. Let's see if there's hopefully a charger over here at this other desk. I think there is. I think he's got the cushy seat too. The cat does. Oh yeah, he's got a nice seat over here. All right, let's see if we can get this puppy rocking and rolling. Bloop. And does that mean we got juice? I think we got juice. All right, I apologize. Sorry for that. How unprofessional. Got the old security. All right, so high lift I seen. Oh, garage door for what he says. It says I use it every single day for residential winding. Nice. The brute winder is more for commercial, but I wish I would have bought it for it 10 years before I did. Yeah. It says I use a regular DeWalt. Okay, so probably like a hammer drill. Oh, hunting 1 year. Okay, so Dan, you're saying 1 year. So that's, and I think a lot of guys overlook, including myself, if you do 1 year, that's pretty, you can get, I mean, a lot of these guys do new buildings, they'll be with the builder and they just go around. And you think about it, we go behind a lot of them too that do really crappy installs. And I'm always like, man, these guys, I'm not saying they got it made. I know their margins are probably tight too, but I go, man, if you do these big jobs and you can get a crew in there of 6 guys or whatever that know what they're doing and knock the thing out in, 1 or 2 or 3 days, and then you could just keep doing that and you only have warranty on it for a year, you're going to take the cream of the crop there. Like I said, everything, what I like about it is everything is new. All the bearings, all the drums, all the cable. And it just seems like it'd be a little bit more, not so volatile, because I'm sure you guys have experienced in the garage door business, it's very volatile. So, sometimes you're like, man, I got nothing to do today, right? And you decide you're like, I'm gonna execute something today, and all of a sudden, boom, the phone rings, and you got 3 service calls that blow the crap right out of the water, and now you're like, great, I can't even handle these 3 service calls. I'm gonna be working till 10 o'clock. We most often planned on winter for big commercial. Well, how in the heck did you plan? See, our builders, they don't wait for it. We most often planned on winter for big commercial. I don't know what that exactly means, because I'm trying to, like, for us, our builder, I know the one's building a place right down the road. I think they got all the framings up, so it won't be too long, and they'll be crying. They want some garage doors. Recalls. You don't make no money on recalls. And the biggest thing it took me a long time to figure out was that when you're doing recalls, you're also taking out the the jobs that you could be out doing, making money still. So it's like, oh well, yeah, that's part of the business, that sucks, whatever. Yeah, but you're also, now you just blew half the day doing your warranty call or whatever that was free, when you could have been out doing a broken spring or residential, whatever, commercial service call, fixing photo eyes, track, whatever, making money. So it's like a twofold. It's like a double whammy, So that's why it's like, I'm always like, man, give me whatever's not going to fail. If it's Genie, LiftMaster, whoever's got the best of the best right now, that's got the least amount of callbacks, that's what I want. That's more resilient. That's basically bulletproof, because, man, you just, and it, like I said, customers ticked, you're ticked. It's never at a convenient time, right? It's never like, you're like, oh, I ain't got nothing to do today, I'll go do warranty work for free, Oh, man. Because cables come off. Let's see. Yes, the cables do. Cables keepers seem to help, but still, yeah, I don't ever have really good luck with cable keepers. I've tried them every which way, and they slide, they grind, they wear out, they pop off. I've had a couple where, you do what you got to do. Biggest thing is crimping the cable part so it can't pop off. They got their place, but it's kind of like putting a patch on a tire. You know what I mean? Like, would you rather have just a new tire? Heck yeah. Or all 4 new, but you put a patch. Yeah. You do what you got to do. I mean, they do work, but man, they're a booger. They're just a booger. You come back and, like, you know how it is when you go to a commercial, you come back and they're always like flipped down, and you're like, God dang it, it's like that's like somebody cut their hand on that thing, and now you're like, that thing ain't working. No wonder the damn cables came off. I'll put another pair on there because I gotta do it because I can't readjust this whole freaking door. But still, I would rather have a helper install that takes his time and goes beyond his call of duty than a fast guy. Absolutely. I totally agree with that, Dan, because I just talked to Mike. I don't think Mike's on here right now. And we were talking on the phone, and he was telling me we were just talking about doing like commission and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, I've tried many different ways, and I know residential you can do a little different than you can commercial, but I always looked at it kind of like across the board. I said, I never once want a guy to come back into this office and to tell me and be like, I'd be like, dude, why did that door? Well, because you told me I had to hurry up. Or, well, I'm only making $200 off the door. So, I'm trying to get like 3 done a day because I got to make a paycheck or whatever, the case. I never did that. I don't plan on ever doing it because I never want a guy to come in and say, well, because I was rushed. You know what I mean? Because they'll do shoddy work. And I always looked at it like, I don't want them in, coming back and going, well, because you made me speed up or something. I go, no, you had all the time. And I've gotten where a lot of times when I was running the crew, what I would do is I would, I wouldn't even tell them. I don't even tell them what they're doing. I'd give them one job. I know there's like 20 more jobs that need to be done, but I don't even say anything about it, because if I sit there and tell them, say, I need you to get this done, I got to have you go here, and I got to have you go here and here and here, they'll try to blast through them. You know what I mean? Versus I'd rather they call and say, hey, I'm done. What do you got next? And I go, okay, well, I already got this scheduled for you. Let's, persist on or move on. But yeah, it's Dan, now I think of it, you'd be a good one to ask. What do you think of the workers nowadays? Maybe not so, I'm not saying so much in our industry and stuff, but what's your feeling? I have a feeling Dan needs to email me. He needs to reach out. We should definitely chat. Cause that'd be awesome. But I'd like to know, has things changed? Has it gotten better? Do you have more men with the plaid and the lunch pail and a cigarette hanging out their mouth and a ball cap and good steel toe boots that are walking in and, that are, I'm here to take care of the job and I'll get her done one way or another? Or is it what I've experienced, flip-flops, sweatpants? I mean, have you guys seen the truckers? You guys go to truck stops, whatever, just, whatever you see. And it's like I said, not all. But you see these guys and you're like, whatever happened? Like, trucking used to have like a pride to it. You know what I mean? Like, big, strong men, you didn't screw with them, right? Whatever. And now it's like flip-flops, it's like shorts, it's sweatpants, it's raggy old shirt, and it's like, dude, what is going on? Oh, man. Less callbacks. Yeah, if you do a good job, man, it helps. But I always remember this one guy telling me there's kind of a caveat to it. The thing sometimes, right? Not always, with garage doors, you don't get rewarded. You do a good job, you don't get rewarded. You do a good job, you also don't come back. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a weird atmosphere with the garage doors. I still haven't got it all figured out. I'm trying though. This is when I started. It was all wood ladders. Oh my gosh, man. I thought I had it bad enough when I started out. We didn't hardly ever use scissor lifts. We were doing, big springs, 2 ladders next to each other, 2 guys, and I thought that was bad enough with the pull-out ladder, bouncing with 2 guys, heavy springs, and you're sitting there yelling, "You okay? Don't drop it. You drop it, I'm going with it." Wood ladders, man, that's impressive. I couldn't imagine being on a wood ladder and like it creaking and doing, I'm like, this thing's gonna blow out, break a run on me. I'm sure you just do what you got to do. I mean, it's kind of like I'd love to see. I wish there was like video of it. Honestly, I'd love to see the guys that installed with the wood with the square headed screws. Can you imagine those old boys with a turn sitting there? And they got the nails. I seen. I'd always pull out the nails. They always put the nails in to probably get it somewhat plumbed up, and then they're sitting there with this. Put in the legs and stuff. I mean, I just like, dude. I'd like to see, like, it'd be so cool to take one of the old boys and say, all right, here's the new technology. Let's see what you got. You know what I mean? Just kind of compare each other. I'm sure we'd smoke them because of our technology and our screw guns. But, I started out, I was always using drills. That was the thing. We had magnet bits, the 7/16 magnet bits, and we were always using a drill, man. And that drill, we didn't really pay attention too much to the clutch. But sure enough, you're always on top of the ladder. And all of a sudden she catch him, whack, smacking the, God darn it. And then it was like, I remember one of the guy that I was working with had an impact. And I was kind of like doing like the stupid impact. And I'm like watching him put the door together. And I'm going, I don't know. That looks pretty, hey, let me try that. And I mean, I realized that it's not knocking me off the ladder with the torque. It's faster, easier, and obviously now all we use is a lot of impacts because they're a lot easier. Ladders, drill, and bridge bolts. I wonder if the bridge bolts, is that more like that? It's like that washer, that's that flange, because those are always kind of goofy to me. I still to this day couldn't tell you. I see them on a lot of wood doors. And I'm always like, is it because they couldn't drill through it? So they just use that washer to clip on there? Never even heard it called that. That's pretty cool. Residential doors. So what manufacturer? Well, we've always been typically, I can't do it too much. Up there. The Wayne Dalton guy. We dealt with a lot of Wayne Dalton over the years. We got Safeway. Who else? There's Safeway. There's Clopay. Horman. Horman was one. And, I know a lot of guys, which one's the best, which one's this. I've kind of learned for at least over here anyways, that typically it's whoever you get the best service from. So that could mean a lot of things. That could mean, who answers the phone? Do they know you? Do they take good care of you? You got a dented section, will they come back in and will they help you? I just feel like I can't ever stress enough about service. You know what I mean? And convenience, obviously, will they deliver to you? It's like I don't ever really get too stuck on the manufacturer. Now, there is some manufacturers that do an amazing job, like Midland Door, at least the ones I've dealt with before. I think they do a great job with their packaging. So, I don't think it's like somebody has the mirror. It's kind of like, they got the one garage door section, that's lifetime or anything like that. So we kind of bounce around. Secretaries, they do a great job about checking pricing, make sure everybody's kind of in check because it varies quite a bit. It can be anywhere from a couple $100 to $600 difference on a garage door. That's pretty similar, like a sandwich door. So it's nice having some options. And it's, there's a little caveat to it because, you can get, I don't know if Dan ever dealt with, if he had enough where he get, because I want somebody to kind of explain to me a little bit more. I never dealt with it, but the rebates. When you buy so many, you get the rebates. And so are you getting money off? Are you getting, what does that look like? How much? Like, what was kind of like, how much did you have to sell to get there? There is sometimes light at the end of the tunnel to deal with somebody directly. They like that, of course. Of course, the salespeople like that because they want that money. They're getting commission off of it. This is the builders would most often have the doors going in just before snow flies. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, around here we're pretty much It'll slow down for installs but they don't care. We go. They're pouring concrete in the dead of winter. They don't care. Not outside, but then you know how that goes. It turns into, you know, we need these garage doors now, and it's like you don't need a garage door. You need a tarp. You know, well, no, we need to keep the heat in because we're pouring, and it's like, I'm not doing it on dirt floors. That's another question, Dan. Comment, say, you know, dirt floors or no dirt floors? You know, did you do a lot of dirt floors? I've done dirt floors. I hate dirt floors. I basically won't do it almost. It's like, not unless it, like we had one not too long ago. The guy, the general was building the building, but they wanted to save money. And so he wasn't doing the concrete because all of a sudden he's like, hey, I need you to put the door in. And I said, hey, man, I said, I don't, you know how this rolls. We've done this. He goes, the problem is, he goes, I'm not the general on the concrete. The build or the owner wanted to try to save money. And I went, oh, he goes, but I am responsible for the garage door. And I'm like, son of a biscuit. So we put it in the dirt. And of course, all the guys were, you know, like, what are we doing? And the builder was nice enough. He let us use a, one of their boom lifts that goes in the dirt. So that was kind of nice, but it's just still not the same. It's not as easy doing it all. Scissor lifts are way easier. I had doors going on just before. It's a dual stem, is it? Is there a difference between carpentry and woodworking? That's a great question. I don't know. I think of woodworking like somebody building like wood chairs and cabinets and stuff, and then carpentry is, you know, a guy with a tool belt and, you know, building a home. But I think they're pretty close. I think it's kind of like the Kleenex, you know, or tissue paper, but it's, you know, it's the same, you know. It says, that's a great plan, Mr. Dan. I paid my men at set hourly rate. That was travel time both ways. Ooh, that's nice. And let's see here. That's like, okay, so I paid both ways. It says I can't hire guys that, yeah, I can't hire guys or hire a guy that don't fit. It's hard finding good help. There's no doubt about it. I just feel, you know, it's not that they're not out there. They're out there, but it's just, I think a lot for these new guys starting out and stuff. I'm sure they struggle because I'm betting, Dan. I don't know if you know, if you mind me asking, but I don't know what's your age, and I can tell you, with me at least, I'm going to be 41 in March this year. That with age it helps a lot because when I started out, was I like 20? I don't know, and well, let's see, like I said, take 20. Yeah, I was in my 20s. You know. It's hard because either I would get guys that would tell me that they have the experience and they're older, and it wasn't like you're teaching them anything. You know, they just were stuck in their ways and they really didn't do a good job. You know what I mean? You know, and then I had guys that are roughly about the same age. You know, and I had some good guys. You know, there's a good crew in here now. But I can definitely see where age helps in the business. You know what I mean? Because now you can bring in young bucks. You can bring guys that are somewhat, you know, same age or a little bit younger. And you kind of got seniority. But it's tough, you know, especially when you don't know and you're not seasoned. You're not know what to look for. For me, it's always like a lot of it now is character. You know, are you a thief? Are you honest? You know, because those are like really important things. I don't want to insult, but it's like I can train a monkey to do this, but I can't train the ethics, the guy that's not, you know, pooping in the corner, the guy that's peeing all over the seat at a customer's or just doing things, you know, putting stuff in his pocket, taking stuff out of the truck, stealing stuff. You know, it's hard enough, man, you know. Don't fit. I feel for you, my friend. It's going, oh man. It is. It's going to be tough. That was me. Oh, that's cool. So I'd wonder if Grezzy, if he's paying guys commission, you know, and like I said, like, you know, if you don't mind at some point, like I said, you know, shoot me an email or you can always you can text me, whatever's easier. We can always have a phone call. I just always tell everybody, my phone's always off. I never hear it. So it's best always to text me and say, hey, can I call you? Or, yeah, you can call me in 10, 20 minutes because I'm just like you guys. I'm either, family. I'm either in a piece of machinery that's loud. I'm up on a ladder. I'm doing something. My phone's in a holster. So, but like if you're doing commission, now the one door company I worked down with in Arizona, they were doing a residential commercial, or they were doing residential as commission, but they were doing their commercial as paid hourly. And I thought, okay, I can kind of see that because commercial is like you can't screw around. There's no like, hey, let's hurry up and get this job done. There's a lot of safety. I always call it the big boy pants. So I'm curious that if you are doing it, like kind of how are you doing it, because I'd love to learn because I don't know it all. Plug in the impact came out. Oh yeah, came out with the impact, man. Like I said, that impact was a game changer. I still haven't used a hydraulic one. I wonder if the hydraulic one's any good. Whoops, hit something there. Says now owned by Overhead. Oh yeah, Wayne Dalton. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed because as you go through it, I've lost some of my heroes. I look at it, I had some really good people that it was almost like they weren't there for the money. They were there because they loved their job and they were there to make it right no matter what. And some of these manufacturers now it's turned into they just it's just the numbers, and they kind of I don't know how to explain it. It's weird. It's kind of one of those things. Like for me, personally, like I'm one of those guys. Like I will lose money on a job to make sure it's right. If I screwed it up or something still isn't right, I'll just go. Especially if the customer's being very fair about it. Obviously they're a complete jerk and they're being stupid and stuff and doing things they shouldn't be. And that's a different situation. But if you're, if I didn't put enough cement in the pole or something, or I didn't put enough lag bolts or my tech or whatever, this or that, I want to make it right, and no matter what, because that was just my upbringing. I just got to make it right. I don't see that sometimes. From the deep, I don't know what that one says. Owned. It says I agree. Service is key. We use AMAR, Wayne Dalton, and CHI. They all have good doors, just depend on how they act when something goes wrong. Yeah, I think I've kind of come to the conclusion now that it's like, I look at it like, I learned this from a guy that was, talking about tractors, and they always, what tractor? And he's like, find a dealer that's close to you, that'll treat you good, that you like their service, because that thing's going to break. And I always look at garage doors as kind of the same way. Like you need somebody that's going to be there for you, that answers the phones, that answers the questions that you need, because that's very helpful. And we got one. We got Clopay, and I don't really want to talk about it too bad, but we got Clopay in one aspect that will be, the guy is very just tell me exactly what you want. You can't call this person and be like, I need something that's an R12, but I need Windows and I need, and then he goes, well, then you probably want the model 3132 or something. You know what I mean? Where like Wayne Dalton was always great about doing that, where you could brainstorm with them and say, I don't quite know, but this is what the customer's looking for, okay, yeah, and so service and just, like Wayne Dalton was always good for us. We could send pictures to the point where it was like we didn't even have to send pictures, but this kind of changed because the salespeople and stuff has moved around, so it's kind of like you're trying to build that trust again, because they send you damaged products or whatever. It's tough. So this stuff can change. You might be Wayne Dalton, and eventually you go to a Clopay, and then you go to Safeway, or it just depends. I don't think you have to be really stuck unless you're getting like I said, the rebates. I'd like to hear more on to see what those big guys are doing. Depending at something says like what's Mr. Dan says like operators, they are owned and built by only yeah, isn't that the truth? It's like my foot, I got a boot dryer. It finally took a poop, and I'm looking for a new one. And you listen to a YouTube video on it, and the guy's like, "There's only 3 manufacturers, but there's 20 here." But and I'm thinking, okay, it's just like MTD lawnmowers, right? I mean, it's like you can't even buy a John Deere anymore at Lowe's. It's not really a John Deere; it's actually an MTD. And then you got to go to a dealer, and dealer's got the real John Deere that's got maybe a frame, a riding lawn tractor. So this stuff is always changing, and it's a real booger, and it really irritates me, like with these openers. I'm still bitter about, like I said, the ATS. The LiftMaster ATS was my go-to for my Amish guys. It had mechanical limits. I mean, we were putting doors up on dirt floors, everything. We're not gonna have power for like another like 6 months. And the Amish, they just put stuff up so fast and everything. And so we go in there, and it was like, I'm running these things off a nasty, dirty generator, right? It's like puking diesel out of it, right? And I'm up there just setting the limits, right? And I unplugged that puppy, and it was like, I don't ever have to worry about this. I'm not going to lose no sleep over it, because I know when they plug this thing in 6 months, it's going to have its right limits. It's going to light up. It's going to work. Unless they hit those darn photo eyes. Those concrete guys, but for the most part, it was, I just knew it was going to work. And then now we went to this newer stuff and it's like, I've had weird ghosts. I've had photo eyes just shut off. I've had doors mid-travel that don't, and I'm like, what, the guy has a horse barn and he's shutting the power off. I'm like, you can't do that. Like, and he's like, what do you mean? I don't want to walk out there. I've been doing it for 20 years. I'm like, you can't do that anymore. You can't do that with this opener. You got to leave the power on. I don't like some of that stuff. So, and I don't even care if it's so much they're kind of cutting costs and stuff. I mean, I'd probably pay like $100 more for the opener. Like, I get it costs more. It's built more. It's got more metal in it. But leave it for me so I can still have an option versus you give me this and you go, oh, you can't run these off generators. I go, well, what do you want me to do? So the power packs work pretty good too. So what does this say? So remember dirt floors. Oh yeah, we have to do many dirt floors. I don't want to do dirt floors anymore. I like my scissor lift. I like my clean. I hate when my rollers and everything, my tracks got dirt in it. Oh, it's the worst. You're all proud of what you've done. You go lift that door up and dirt. There's sand in it. It stinks. I tend to avoid the Amar one because the paint peels off. Ooh. I wonder if Nito was saying on that Amar, because now I think of it, now the brain's thinking of it. I had an Amar. It was like a wood grain, and it was popping. And I think it's because it's like a sticker or something. And I think they sent us a new section or whatever. But I remember installing it, and it was like, this ain't cool. Like, something's wrong. Like, it almost looked like there was bird poop on it too. It had some weird stuff on it. So I think I had my mom come over and clean it, because I was just so busy with it. I'm like, I don't even got cleaner. I don't got Windex, whatever. And I'm like, I cannot focus on this right now. I'm so busy. I just need somebody, like, can this be fixed, or is this got to be changed out? Because it was like on every section. Amar, like I said, I don't try to bash them, but Amar, at least over here for us in our distribution center, whatever, the doors are always damaged. Always. I mean, I got to a point. I mean, I'd go over there to pick up a door and stuff, and I would tell them, I'd walk in and I go, you guys got touch-up paint? Oh, no, we're out. Well, why do you think you're out? And I told him, I said, you guys need to send touch-up paint for every door you send out the door. Every door. So every time I go there and get a door, it's like, you got touch-up paint? Because sometimes what would happen is, either we have winter, stuff would freeze or whatever. We didn't use them consistently, but then I'd have a job that I was passing by there, so I'd pick a door up, and then, you get, and you're like, you know how it is. You want a fresh paint. So in their office that's nice and heated, not one that's been tossed around your truck and in water and mud and froze 3 times, and then you know how it is when you need it and you open it and you're like, oh no, oh, what am I gonna, I can't even use a pen. There's nothing I can use. I have nothing. And then if you try to even, I had one I did this was a Wayne Dalton that was actually damaged. I missed it. I did the mist, right? Kind of blew as I misted it. And to this day, you can go by there, and it looks like I drew a smiley face because the paint cures different, and it's not the same paint. I feel so bad. It was it was a good customer too. He had multiple rentals and he ran a dry cleaner, and he never called me out on it, but he still could pry to this day. And I'd say, you know what, dude, I owe you a door, or something, because that looks ridiculous. Every time I drive past, there's a little smiley face. I guess at least it wasn't a frown, but it's kind of on an angle. It's silly. Oh, so I always learned, you got to use the manufacturer's paint. So that's the same thing. Like if you're bouncing between Wayne Dalton, whoever, you got to have the right touch up. But Amar was just horrible, just horrible. Yes, woodworking is more refined. Ooh, yes. See, that's what I was kind of thinking. I'm thinking more the lathe and sanding and somebody in a shop. Overdoors and CHI ideal land so many more easy glide. CHI. It says ditto. Oh no! So are you in the UP? Nope, I'm not a Uper. I'm a troll. That's what they call it in Michigan. If you're below the bridge, we're a troll. If you're up, you get to be a Uper. But no, I'm a troll. I'm right in Muskegon. I'm about right in the middle, right towards. If you've heard of the Ferry Express, that's basically really close to me. I can jump on the Ferry Express and basically go over to, what is it, Milwaukee, I think is where it lands. And it lands over here in Muskegon on the lakeshore. Amar is a great starter company to work with. Amar is like, Dan's right with the Amar, because Amar's like, they don't care who and what you are. It's like, if you got money in your pockets, they will let you in the door. They, so like we have two over here. We have one that does the Midland doors, and then we got the Amar, and they're kind of like in competition. One's actually a Ma Pa shop, and then the other one's obviously Amar, which is nationwide type thing. And the Ma Pa shop does the Midland doors, and like I said, they run a really nice operation. They got LiftMasters really big. I think they finally got into Lanier. They were doing Lanier. Now they're doing. I think they're selling gate operators out of that place too. We kind of outgrew them. We used to travel there a lot and buy openers, but you start to realize that you need everything shipped to you, because you burn up so much time and gas, and then a lot of things that people don't realize is that the wear and tear, and the big one is liability. And what do you mean by liability? The fact that you get into an accident. I was on the road today. I don't normally go down the highway. I jumped on the highway. I was running behind, and today, literally, there was one car in front of us. We're cruising 70 down the highway, and a car came on the on-ramp, and it's a bad intersection right there. Must have been going too fast. I don't know if it hit black ice or what. She was driving a pink car. I don't know. But anyways, pow, ran right into her, and I'm like, I was going right through the debris. You know what I mean? Like, it was like doing the, accident, pay attention now. And it's like, scanning, trying to look, and I went right through it, and it's like I looked over the wife, and it's like, if we were one more car ahead right now, that would have been us, and the other car had no chance. And I was like, we need a dash cam, because that was intense, and I feel like there was really no reason for it. The highway was completely salted and dry, and I don't know if the little arm ramp was. I knew she was going fast. I could see it, because when I seen the car start to roll, and I'm like, dang man, she's going fast. And all of a sudden it went, instead of going around the curve like it was to get on the highway, it went straight, basically, and she just plowed right into a car. Nice, I think some kind of Jeep, Grand Cherokee type, whatever they got, it was newer. And I just thought, man, that's the stuff right there. And that's another reason why you got to remember with the whole, like I said, when you do warranty work, it's no, it is, because now you're going back out. I tell you what, my britches would be burning, that if I go out to a warranty haul that could have been avoided, and now I get into a car accident, I'm going to be really upset at myself. And I'd be probably not real thrilled if it happened to somebody else, and I don't want nobody getting hurt. But that's Obviously we got to get off the couch, right, to make a living. But when you're just running around doing warranty calls, let's say you're getting these openers that are all shot and junk, and this isn't even your fault. I mean, now you get into a car accident, you wreck your nice vehicle that you're making payments on. Now your insurance goes up. Yeah, don't even get me started on the insurance. This stuff goes crazy. The one thing I noticed with AMAR too is I kind of lost a little bit of respect for them. And the reason I say this is because the bottom seal. The bottom seal has some kind of metal that clips. It kind of spring loaded. It reminds me of remember those wristbands as a kid, right? You slap them and they kind of wrap around. But they got that oval shape to them. That's like what their bottom seal is. And I remember when I went to their shop the one day, they were supposed to already have this door made for me. And luckily when I got there that day, it was like, who was it? There was already a sales rep there, right? There's two other guys that are kind of the main guys, and there was a sales rep there. So he was really, rubbing up to me and, how do you like, have you tried this? Do you try to sell these? And I'm like, yeah. I just really need my door and get the heck out of here because I'm running late. Anyways, we'll get this bottom retainer on for you. And then they got the retainer on, and I forget. And I'm watching these three guys, and they're like three of them taking them to get this weather seal, this clip, whatever. Oh, that's what it is. It clips into the bottom of the door. And they're sitting there and they're hammering it, and they're tapping it, and they're getting it. They're working it. And I remember I'm like, damn, man. It takes 3 grown men to get this bottom seal on. And I said, we're in a nice warm factory. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to do that if I'm out in the field? And I kid you not, that darn door, right? They got it all on there. I kind of inspected it. Everything looked fine. I threw it in the back of the trailer, whatever I had at the time. I take it to the customer. And it was one of those things where the customer hit it. I said, hey, we could get it for you the next day. He was, whatever, I'm leaving, type thing, going on vacation, won't be back. I want my building secure, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I get it installed. Everything goes good. And probably like almost like a month later or something, he must have came back or something. And he's like, hey, he goes, my bottom seal came off. And I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, dude, it must have froze or something, right? Well, the problem was that we didn't have any weather that was freezing at that time. So I go there and I start doing the detective work and inspect it. The driveway's got a nice slope to it. Okay, so there's not water pooling up or anything. He had to hit it. He hit it. I know he hit it. And I'm scouring the whole front of that door, looking for anything. One scrape, couldn't find nothing. But that stupid bottom retainer fell off. And all I kept thinking is I'm just going, Mommy, I go, there's 3 grown men in a factory with this door sitting down, putting the bottom seal on, the retainer piece. They were fighting this thing like, I don't know how I'm going to do it in the field. And I remember I got my knee up there. I got this thing. I'm sitting there and I'm prying it with a screwdriver. I mean, I'm just having a hell of a time. And I finally got it in there, and I didn't even know if I felt confident that was going to stay in there. And I just told myself, I was like, this is the stupidest design I've ever seen in my life. And so, me personally, I have a lot of problems with bottom seals. If you watch my channel, I have problems. I don't like Wayne Dalton's bottom seal on some of their doors, on the 8000 series door. I don't, I think there's, Midland is probably the only one. I like a metal bottom retainer. And I like it to be screwed, and I like my rubber seal to go in there, slide like a T. None of this round stuff or whatever that Wayne Dalton does too. Oh, it says, we're down in Florida. Well, you lucky that you're down in Florida. When are you going to hire me? You're down in Florida. I'm ready to go somewhere it's warm in the winter. Must be nice in Florida. CHI, though. CHI, I've done a lot of replacements. We got a vendor that we use to get CHI. And I've always wanted to kind of deal with them because I think they're not too bad. You know what I mean? CHI, I think, is pretty decent. But I haven't dealt with them a ton to really say that 100%. Thought I heard somebody pulling in. Local down in Florida. Last year, I was on vacation and ended up hanging 5 full sash doors that included retrofitting the sections the guys had No track done in 5 days. What? Along with metal siding? Oh, man. I know one thing with those commercial doors, you always put that clip mount seal on before you put that track up. That's the only thing I really know. Because, especially if it's Wayne Dalton, it's got that weird bevel to it. Heck no, man. I had to call a guy the last time I did one. I was up in the lift, and I'm trying to bang it on, replace it. And I'm like, I just can't, I can't pry this out. I can't get the right leverage. I'm like, can you come down and help me, please? So he did. I feel like maybe he brought another scissor lift. I can't remember. Should have been one heck of a bill. I don't remember why. It was weird. I only did replacement sections on AMAR. Yeah, that's always fun, isn't it? We all deal with it. You know what I mean? You got different manufacturers. Haas was one. We had a guy. He was pretty cool. He's like, that dude had a barn. I mean, think of a cow barn. It was clean. It was all nice. He had it really nice. But I mean, you go in there and you could see all the cracks through the boards and stuff. And he had all his material. And I never met the guy. I always dealt with him on the phone. And I'd tell him I was going to come get it. I'd pay him. And I'd leave the money there, hide it somewhere. And he was just cool. I was like, I never met this guy. And he'd tell me, oh, I put your 2 sections, he'd say, on the top of the pile. You know what I mean? I could have easily, he had openers in there, I don't even think I looked around once. I don't think he had cameras, not that I'm going to steal, but I just thought, this guy don't really know, I'm in here. I could take his doors. We got a pile of rollers sitting here. I respected that. I thought that was pretty cool. You know what I mean? That's the type of people that it's kind of like farm people, I guess. I don't know. Just kind of cool. I just thought. So that was our Haas guy. Somebody got thumping music out there on the road. As it says, I use vice grips and clamps. Can put a whole door in the easiest, then bottom seal. Yeah. Isn't that the truth, man? I still remember that I had this one. It was on the lake. It was a nice, and at the time, I'm just starting out, so be easy on me. But I was doing 3 doors. I think they were 9x7s, 9x8s. I mean, this guy had let's just say everything was nice, right? Had a fridge in the garage, beautiful home, beautiful everything. Everything was beautiful. Everything you can think of. And I sell them on these 3 doors. And I'm like, I'm the man. Got 3 garage doors in one location. This is awesome because I'm used to, the one garage door here, another garage door here, another garage door here, another run. So I sell them on these doors. I think I went with the 8500 or something for Wayne Dalton door. And they got this weird U shape that clips over both, the bottom section. And I'll still never remember. I got the whole job done. We did a great job. And he calls me a couple days later and he goes, hey, I got a problem with these garage doors. I'm like, of course, how it is. It's like, well, I was there. What could be possibly wrong? I inspected everything. I made sure everything was level. Everything looked great. Tracks. He goes, and his house went down a hill. So when you're on the driveway or on the road, you're looking at the bottom of the door almost, because the driveway had a slope, a hill to it. He goes, well, when those garage doors are down, he goes, my neighbor, let me repeat, my neighbor thinks my garage doors are open because of that black bottom seal that's sticking up 3 inches or whatever it is on those Wayne Dalton that cup it. And I'm like, yeah? Well, tell your neighbor to shove it. So and I'm like, okay. And he goes, is there anything we can do about this? And I'm like, well, this guy spent a lot of money. I mean, so I had to go to, I think it was Action Industries or whatever. And I had to buy that aluminum retainer so I could mount it on the backside. And that thing, those things were I don't remember, they were expensive. It was $300 because it was aluminum, right? And then I have to change the bottom seal. I have to go to a different seal, I think, even. And I'm just like, please, why can we not get this bottom seal right? Why? Another one, right? Went to, I think it was the same, this guy was the fire marshal. He was the fire chief of our town. We do all the fire departments in our local area. So we're doing now one for his personal house, right? He builds a barn next to it. And I go there, the guys are installing it. Well, the bottom it's got a little soft rubber and it's flipped. So when you look at the bottom, it looks wavy. It looks something that doesn't look right. I mean, it's the first thing you see as you pull in. And I know this guy travels around and he's going to stop in. So I walk in there, I'm like, hey, and I shouldn't have to do this, right? I'm like, did you guys look at this? I'm like, look, the bottom seal is like crap. Oh. So we go out there, right? And they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, you guys got to fix this like now. So we're out there with our razor blades, right? Sticking them in there, trying to get the lip to flip the right way. And I'm like, I feel like this is something I shouldn't just have to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't a factory being built, on a table. Like, put the stupid bottom seal on for me, please, and make it look good, you know? Instead, I'm on dirt, Oh, man. I know. It's the little things. Bottom seal. Either is this... We got to deal with wind load doors all day. Ooh. So Florida. I don't know what happened because we were supposed to deal with the wind loads up here. I heard it was the big thing coming. It's like, and now it's like, I don't hear about it anymore. Now, I always use my best judgment. If I go into we have some places up on hills and stuff like that, and I can tell, I'm like, yeah, this is pointing towards Lake Michigan, towards the west. You're getting struts on everything. You know what I mean? Because it's just, I had one door once cave in on me, and it was because it was like probably a 24 gauge, and we went to the 20, 26 or vice versa, whatever, and that darn thing blew in on me. It wasn't it was maybe 12 by 12 door, and it was on the opposite side. It was on the east side where the wind and that darn thing blew in. I was so embarrassed. That was not cool. We gotta deal with wind load. Not a fan of AMAR. Yeah, I agree, Dan. No, sir. Bottom seals have to be T-seals. Aluminum. Bottom retainer. I agree. Mr. Tanner. Plastic. Stupid block. Yeah. Oh, it looks bad. North Central doors have the aluminum, which is great. So keep that going. The metal. If any garage door manufacturers listen, please keep the metal ones. I thought, it's weird because I thought for some reason Haas used to have aluminum ones. And then when I went to the IDA show, I was over there and I was all excited. I was like, oh, I'm going to land this. We're going to start selling these puppies. And I'm over there and the guy's like, no, we got plastic. I'm like, have you always had plastic? And he's like, yeah, as far as I know. And I'm like, man, I swear Haas used to have metal bottom retainers. And I really liked the Haas because at the time, when I installed a few of them, I liked that the track already was all riveted together. So especially if it was somebody who knew how to build a frame or build a jam, all you had to do is you didn't have to mess with all the screws and nuts and bolts. Everything was riveted, and boom, you set that puppy up. You'd screw it to the wall, and away you go. There was no adjusting. It was already adjusted. It was perfect. It worked great. But once I heard they had plastic bottom, I went, ooh. I said, is there any upgrades? And I don't know if I ever got that far with them, but I just kind of, when I heard I was like, I already deal with enough plastic. I don't want no more plastic. We got Michigan, we got frozen. The animals will chew them, the chipmunks and stuff. I had one at my old house, and I think that was the cup style, and my door was always peeing. I even had I had a 2 foot or 3 foot overhang on it, and the water would splash still, hit the door, run down, and get trapped in there. So every time I open my door, it'd be a nice, beautiful sunny day, everything's dry, and that door's peeing. Water come out. Peeing, sitting there and I watch it and I go, that's just kind of embarrassing, and it's annoying, and water being in there, it's gonna rust. Still not great, but bad. Order 250 roll from Midland and decided on Midland. That's awesome. So I wonder if Midland's the one, because see, I know those T-seals. If anybody knows, just let me know to say it's Midland and it's like Clopay, because there's a difference. There's somebody, I don't know how we do. We used to get it from the one vendor. That's all I know. I'd get it from them. I don't know where they get it from, but there's that T-seal. There's some that's just a little bit wider, and boy, that'll tick you off. You go to put it in, and you're like, why am I fighting this? And I'm like, I wish they would have never done that. So we could have just had one T-seal across the board. So now you got to carry 2 of the 3-inch. We carry 2 because you just don't know what you're going to get into. But I'm always like, who is that? I'm like, is it Clopay or is it Midland? Or because we normally get the one through Service Spring. And I can't remember if that one. But all I know how to do is I smash them together and look at them, and I can tell there's just a slight difference. Like a normal person that doesn't do it would not, probably notice. But you probably get calipers on it. paperback doors. The paperback doors, man. That's funny. That's the second time I've ever heard a garage door person. I remember I was at a Subway out of town here, and another service truck, another garage door company pulled up. They were going in there, So I opened the door or whatever. We're waiting in line. We're talking, and the guy's like, he goes, "What do you guys, what do you install or something?" I said, "We got the Wayne Doll. We do like the 9000 series." And he goes, "Those paperback doors." And I went, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, I stuck with that because I was like, that's pretty much what they are. Paperback doors. So that is, I don't know, that has got me. Yes, sir. Amar, Haas, Wayne Dalton. All right. What is this? CH is okay, but paint fades and longer fine thread screws don't work. I just ordered a few of their cedar plank looking doors. Yeah, I don't know much on the whole fading. We deal with a lot of white doors. I've had a few. There's one, darn, I was over there today too in that side of town, that we installed a black one for. I never heard nothing back from, but I was nervous. I was like, "You really want a black door?" He's like, "Yeah, we got the shutters, we got the doors, like it's gonna," and it looked good. It really did look good. But I was like, but we had a fire department. I'm pretty sure, gosh, I think they were Clopay doors. I'm pretty sure they were Clopay doors. I didn't install them. There was a fire department down out of our area, down a ways, and they got the job or whatever. So they installed the doors, and they were black. And I mean, within probably, 2 to 3 years, and they were facing the south, so they're getting the sun, and they faded so bad. And I was like, every time we go by there or something, I was telling the wife the one time, I said, "Man," I said, "I'm so glad we did not install those doors." And she's like, "Why?" And I said, "Because look how bad those doors have faded." I said, "I'd be so embarrassed." I said, "If those were my doors." I said, "So embarrassed." And I'd be waiting every day for that phone call, somebody going, "Hey man, like these doors are only like 3 years old and they are faded like a mofo. Like, is there anything?" And I'd be like, maybe I will come down and paint them. Like, I don't know what to do, and you know how it is. It's not gonna be factory paint, so it's gonna be all screwed up. I mean, it's just, you know. So, but they finally painted them, and I was like, oh, and now the paint, whoever did whatever, I'm sure it was a painting crew. It looks pretty good. It's been holding up. I think it's been about a year now or two since they got painted. And I was so happy they didn't paint the trim. So it's like, which is a little goofy. I understand the reasons so they don't warp, but it's like the trim's all white, and then it's like, the door's all black, and I'm like, yeah, it looks a little, but I know why. But does the lady that spent $8,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 on garage doors for her house understand why the trim's white? I want it black. Don't do it. Don't paint it. It'll warp. It'll look horrible. Says amen on the struts. Struts are amazing. What is this? Alex says, what is this? Analogs of Dynaco doors exist. I don't think, that sounds kind of familiar, but I don't know nothing about that. I don't know why that sounds familiar. I think of that one, I think of that company that sells out of the magazine, but I know that's probably not what you're asking. Wish I could be more help on that. Rolling steel doors on high pressure. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. The high pressure. I like that, Dan. That's not a bad idea. Kind of think about that. I just have a big thing against rolling steel. I hate rolling steel because you can't ever see, what's going on when they break a spring. If they had counters on them, which I'm sure you could put one on there. I mean, I've had counters on machinery and stuff. It might not be so bad. So you could see a counter and go, oh, wow, this thing's got, 100,000 cycles on it. But it's such a bear to diagnose them. And then typically when they go, at least over here, it's always been like, just change the whole thing because they're always beat up. They need slats. But that's not a bad idea. Like I said, I get the concept. I see a lot of our car washes and stuff, they're turning into the rubber doors. And I've dealt with some, but I don't deal with a lot. And I'm hoping they're more reliable. for these people. I'm sure they are, but I know those can be real iffy too. You got to watch that pressure, and there's like the gauges you can use to see what pressure is in the building, and there's certain ways to do it. It can be a little bit daunting. They have rain when open the door. No thermal break. Ooh, between the sections, no good here in Iowa. Iowa gets some crazy weather, but they do have good options. Yeah, yes they do. That's a real headache. Clopay. Oh, okay. So Clopay has the smaller T. Okay, Tanner. All right. So it is Clopay has a smaller T seal. It's so annoying. Okay. So it says Midland has the U or half moon shape. Huh. Midland does, huh? Boy, I don't feel like I've ever seen our Midland doors have that. I can't say for sure they do. I don't know. I wish it would have been nice if we got the T seals originally from the get-go. It would have been all kind of the same because, like, Wayne Dalton does that weird round on the 9000 series doors, and you ever go to try to, like, tuck it, you know, so it doesn't shrink on you or move, and it's like it's falling out. It never sits in there right. Replacing it is a real bear. Like, I've had it before. You get like halfway, 3/4 away, you know, you're sliding, and you're like, I'm almost there, and it's like, it falls out, and you're like, son of a, I hate my life. So it's like, Weather Seal is always tough. It is tough. I wish Weather Seal was like one of those things that's like a brake job for a vehicle where it's like, you just like, I love doing Weather Seal. It's great money because, like, if you don't carry it, it's kind of a bear. Like, I normally now, like, make the customer, especially the ones that like to stand out there and stare, you know, and like watch everything you do. I'm like, hey, like, come over here and give me a hand, would you please? Okay, thanks. Because you're just like staring there looking at my butt. I don't like it. You know, so I just come over here, do something. You know. Oh man. I don't even care now. I just normally just ask because I've knocked on the door a few times. They're a pretty cool cat. You know, I don't get grandma out there. I'll do everything. I'll put a ladder up if I got to. I'll get the door and I'll shimmy something. I'll do whatever I got to do. I usually get the new aluminum retainer and T rubber. Heck yeah, man. That sounds great. Do you guys know that at one time, Garage Door Company was, what does it say? Ununionized? I know some of them don't. They want unions to be in there. Am I saying that right? Maybe I'm saying that wrong, Dan. I apologize. They want to standardize. Oh, okay, I got what you're saying. And they want to. My theory is that they won't ever make this stuff standard. I look at it like, you know, like Wayne Dalton, Amar, you know, and I try to tell people sometimes, like, they'll buy the stuff, you know, Menards. And I always tell them, I say, look, I said, you know, you're getting married into their product. And I can see how it works because I'll come into somebody that has an Ideal door that's basically Clopay, and, you know, they have a broken spring. And it's like, what do you do here? It's like, I got to change this all out, which is really the better way. But it's going to cost you, you know, whatever, $300-400 with springs and torsion tube and everything. Or I could just go get you another spring for $65 and have you back up and running. And I've done it. You know what I mean? I've done it because I don't either have the stuff I need on the truck. Maybe I don't have the right springs, or I didn't have a torsion tube that day, or, you know, Menards was right around the corner. But I can see where, like, Amar and their hinges where they're trying to, or like Horman had a lot of weird stuff. The one thing I could never get with Horman, I was just looking at a previous old video I did, and I was thinking about how they had their disconnect. And that disconnect, I still could never, like, I seen guys that installed them that were before me. I installed them. I read the instructions. I watched videos, and they looked like the most dumbest disconnect I've ever seen. And I remember somebody broke one, and it was kind of far away. This is on a trolley residential. And I went back to try to fix it, and they're like, can you fix it? And I'm like, I was just having such a hard time getting parts and talking to the people on the phone. And I just said, I honestly, like, you know how it is. I don't really want to do it because it's going to cost them $300-400, whatever. And I got to charge a little bit more because they're farther away. But the situation was, they had a parent in the house that's, that needs, the car has to be reliable. The garage door needs to be reliable. And I thought, I can't be here every week screwing with this thing because, because like we lose power quite a bit. And I'm like, you got to go with like a Genie or a LiftMaster. I was like, because this disconnect is just idiotic. Like I just don't even see how this is going to be. You got like, you're supposed to pull a blue button or the green button and push it, or what's the, you got to get on a ladder. Like, I'm like, this is, I don't know. So those Horman openers, I still just can't. I don't even know. I can't even think of like any benefits of them. At one time, what's up, Mr. CY? Who's Mr. CY? It says hi. Well, hello. Welcome. It says CHI actually started off as a modular home building company. What? And then they started making doors for their houses, which would make sense. Stands for, wow, man. That's pretty cool. I think I'm going to see if I can take a screenshot of that. That's pretty cool. I did not know that, Tanner. That's pretty cool. Huh. Makes sense. Doesn't surprise me. I'm assuming if they were doing the modular homes, I'm assuming that was like basically man doors. And then they switched over. It's kind of like, this is the dumbest thing. You guys, I don't know if you guys ever dealt with this or not, but Lowe's, when we used to install, they were selling the Amar doors. And I think they were called not Richard Wilcox. Something R brand. Anybody remember what they were called at Lowe's? Oh, I can't remember it. It's not Richard Wilcox. It's Rembrandt or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was different called, but it was basically an Amar door. Well, then Wayne Dalton went in there. And Wayne Dalton, we were installing through Wayne Dalton. Well, then it went back. They lost the contract. So it went back to Amar. They were selling the doors, giving them cheaper prices or whatever. And now they told us that they want us to start naming these. They give us a sticker. We need you to put them on the door, and it's called Pella. And I was like, I might be wrong, but I don't remember Pella making garage doors. Pella makes windows for homes. And I thought, how do they even get away with this? Like, how do they give us a sticker that says Amar / it says Pella? And we're supposed to put these on the garage doors. And they said supposedly that they did a study, and the study was that when they did the study through Lowe's, that they asked the consumers, the customers, what was what's the biggest manufacturer of garage doors that and the people were saying Pella. So in their ingenious wisdom, they said, you know what, we're going to name it Pella. And that way we can probably get more business. And, or whatever. I don't know the whole story, but I just looked at it, and so they always gave us a sticker. I never put the stickers on. I was like, isn't this false advertisement? I mean, isn't that like saying this is a John Deere and it's an MTD, or it's really a Ranch King, or it's a Cub Cadet, or it's like taking a Ford Focus with a Cadillac and say, no, it's a Cadillac. No, it's a Ford Focus. No, it's a Cadillac. Yeah, I that really confused me. Some of the stuff, and it's bad because there's so many people out there that don't know this stuff. They just go in and, some salesperson or whoever in the store, and even the kids sometimes don't know, right? They're like, oh, yeah, that's a good brand. It's been around for years. They make great windows. Yeah, they might make great windows, but they don't make garage doors. Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Says, yes, that's right. Lifesaver strip. Lifesaver strip on track. Sometimes it's nice to spray door lube, and the channel retainer makes it easier to slide. You can get away with a lot of. I'm telling you what, lube is your best friend. I tell you what, there's a lot of situations that I've used. I've had doors that were just clunky, and I spray them down, and people are like, oh. And it's weird because I don't really ever notice that much. I mean, but they'll come out and they go, wow, that's running so much quieter. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm like, you know, maybe it's because I'm not used to it. I don't live there or whatever. But I'm like, I sprayed it down. I was like, you know, spray it down once a year, you know, with some oil, whatever you got, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you know, but that's why I've seen bad installs. I personally have had guys that did bad installs that now the metal's all put up or something, and it's like, dude, we can't go back and tear this back apart. Like we're screwed. They put the track too tight, and you'd be amazed. Like you spray that thing, you spray track, whatever. It's not good. I'm not saying it's right. You spray it with oil, that baby will run for, you know, whatever, maybe 6 months, a year, and it'll be good. And you can basically walk away from it. Not saying you should, but that's why, like Dan was saying, just, you know, you need to do a good job the first time. The first time is really the key, because I've gone to where jobs that guys are like, I, you know, got 20 years, and I'm like, dude, this door is way too tight, track and everything. Like it needs to breathe. Spray. What's this say? Try gluing in the winter. We use Prime and Tech. Huh. What's this say? That, and if the easy set spring and stupid plastic couplers of winding. Yes, you're married to it. I had Service Spring one time tell me on those easy sets that, you know, they couldn't measure the spring. They couldn't even get me a spring. I don't remember why I called them. Maybe I just thought I could get it through them or something. They're like, that thing's like pre-stretched. It's got that plastic thing. And you know what's the worst thing about them? I felt so bad because I had somebody that bought, like they came in and they're like, they were looking for a certain color door, and our samples weren't matching up. And when it comes to color, I don't fight for the customer. Does that make sense? Like, I'm just like, they're like, well, I got one from like Clopay, or not Clopay, but like Home Depot. And I'm like, I'd rather you just go on. Go to Home Depot, go. You know, and I'd rather almost install their product. You know what I mean? Because the last thing I want to do is I want to install this darn thing. And they're like, it's not the right color. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, you know, well, can you paint them? No, I can't paint them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So so I screwed up, right? This person comes in, they had a couple samples. They already been shopping around. And one was from Menards, and so I told him, I said, whoa, I said, whatever you do. And I screwed up. This was my fault. I said, don't buy it from Menards. I said, they got those Ideal doors. I said, they're noisy, they're clunky, blah, 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 easy size. Don't buy them from them. I said, go buy them from Home Depot. Well, Home Depot sells Clopay, and Clopay is the one that makes Ideal. So it was kind of the same, and I totally forgot. But the color samples they had or something were close or off, or the one was perfect, or maybe they're both the same. And I said, well, just don't buy it from Menards, buy it from Home Depot. And she bought them, or whoever it was. And I remember I went there, it was two of them, 2 9x7s. And I seen those springs. I went, oh my gosh. And I was like, what do I do? I was like, oh. And I was like, I'm just going to live with it. I'm going to install it. So I installed it. And I remember the first time, I already sprayed it down and everything, right? You guys know, you'll sleep with it, right? You don't ever, oh, spray it some more. Does that door always make that noise? Yep. It's going to make that noise forever because it's got the plastic inside the spring, at least as far as I know. And, I mean, I felt so bad. I was like, oh, it's like I should have told her, you know, or let me go with you, or tell them we want to upgrade to torsion spring, or, you know, the standard torsion spring. I screwed up. I felt so bad. I was like, that's why you shouldn't buy from these places. But it was my fault because I didn't want to deal with the color. I cannot stand color. If they don't just go, I really like this, and we're a match. But when it comes to color and designs, and I've been burned too many times, because that is dealing with like human emotion, big time. Especially those women. We love you women, but man, you guys can be like really hardcore on if that color isn't just right. Yes or go Johan Cleaner. Go Joe Cleaner. That's pretty cool. That's at least what I was told about CHI company. I worked for 10 plus years. Wow. CHI Raynard for 4 years. Both are now super great doors, but CH is better. Then CHI and better than, I don't know what that one part means. My buddy used to do Rainer. One thing I like about Rainer is like when you did a residential, I didn't like their weird off springs. They had like 2 1/4 or something like that. And I was like, geez, I was like, why can't they just stick with a 2 inch? You know, and Safeway would do that too. They give you like 2 different springs. And what I always worried about is I was like, it's the future, right? The future. And I tell them, I say, you know, and they finally changed it. They said, well, we can change it, you know, so it is both the same springs. And I'm like, would you please? I'm like, because that's the thing in the future that's going to screw one of my techs up. And, you know, they're going to measure one spring that broke, and they're going to go, oh, it's you know, they're both 218s, and they're going to get it. And one's a 225, one's a 218, and now they're all confused of what they did, and it's going to be phone calls. And it's like, Lord, please, just make them the same. Please. What did I hit there? Not CHI, Rainer, my bad. Oh, oh, that's what I figured, Tanner. That's what I figured. So CHI is a little bit better than Rainer nowadays, is what I'm taking. That's crazy. Even since CHI got bought out by, oh man, I didn't know CHI got bought out, Norcor, they completely changed their act down here. They used to be missing hardware in every box. Oh, and damaged panels all the time. Changed hardware. Oh my gosh. Man, I'm glad at least it sounds like, you know, they got their act. They got it better, because those hardware boxes, man, those are freaking killers if they're not right. Even I don't know if Cap still does it so much, but I was pretty persistent. I think he does, actually. We always open up the boxes now. You know, when you're doing residential and stuff, boxes get open. And when you've been doing it for so many years, you kind of got a checklist. You know, really you should just have a physical checklist, but you go through the common, you know, rollers, hinges, you know, flag brackets, you know, blah, 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 you know. But Wayne Dalton, for a long time, they weren't sending the horizontal flag bracket there. And, I mean, that was just screwing us, man. And, you know, we get away with using a piece of angle, perforated angle, but it don't, you know, it ain't really right. And it just takes more time. And, I mean, they had such a bad streak going on for a while. I was literally going to start building. I was going to put the whole door up at the shop. I was like, I'm just going to build a wall. I was like, I'm going to build a wall and put the whole freaking door up, and then I'll take the whole door back down, because this is just getting ridiculous. Because it seemed like every time I'd be like, check for the flags, they'd jip us on a couple hinges. And it's like, you know how it is, like when you're there in the moment, right? Sweat coming down your face, and you're looking, and you're like, where the hell's the last, what the, is there, I'm dropping, you know, and you're looking everywhere for it, and you're like, and you're talking to the next guy, did you walk off of one of the, no, you know, and you're like, you know, hopefully if it isn't a door that you're married into, that's a weird door, it's got a weird hinge, it's just a standard hinge, and you got it, but now it looks funny, it doesn't, you know, now you're trying to match them up, well, I'll change them both out. You know, it just adds more time and complexity, and you're sitting there just like, there's somebody at a shop that screwed me, that didn't care about their job, or, you know, whatever, you know, the weight, oh, it just needs more weight, so I just sprinkle a little bit of nuts and bolts in there. That should be good. That makes up for that hinge. What does it say? Rainer delaminates and fills up with water. Ooh, I didn't know that about Rainer. The sections, and they rust. Well, they rust out because they got to make more money. They got to sell you. And come on, this is like the cars. We can't have, you know, what is the lifter springs? You know, we can't have lifter springs lasting, you know, 300,000 miles. Only 100,000. They must break. So we need our doors to rust out. They probably got it figured out, engineered that way. Oh man, plastic bottom, yeah. Plates, 3/8, yeah. I didn't deal, my one garage door buddy, that he used to work for his uncle, and then he did his own thing, and he was big in Raynard. So we'd get sections and stuff from him. I only did one job that it was a fire barn spec'd out, that they wanted Raynard doors. So we somehow got the job, even though we're not a dealer of them. We got them cheap enough, and then we went and installed them, and you know, the flags and stuff, or the end bearing plates, they were different. They had some weird bolt system, and you know, I mean, it seemed more robust. I could see the robustness a little bit, but obviously I don't know nothing about the sections, because I had nothing. I don't have years on the sections of them, but I don't know. They're kind of all somewhat, besides maybe the fading and stuff, I can see, but garage door sections kind of somewhat, in the most part, are kind of to me are kind of just generic. They're kind of like a plastic fork. I know what to expect. Tanner says, Norcor buy them in the last 3 months? I ordered 2. Oh, that's a good question. Almost every section was scratched. Ooh. And a few were dented, and took them almost 2 months to get 2 backorder sections. Dang, man. It was about 5 to 6 months ago, I believe. Wow. Wow. Man, I tell you, that's sometimes the the scary stuff about this garage door stuff, is you can be locked onto a good product, and all of a sudden changes on you. They're selling, you don't know what's happening. And then the quality, we'd always like the quality to always keep going, getting better. But that's tough. That's tough, man. And I don't know if they've ever kind of recouped from. I mean, it was bad when the cough syndrome was going on. If you wanted sections, replacement section, forget that. It was like everything's a package, right? They want to send everything out as a package, a 12x14 with all the track and everything. Everything's a package. Oh, you want a one-off? Yeah, that's on the back burner. We'll get to that. And I'm sure it's because it's a numbers reason, money reason. But, when you're waiting, or if you install something that's not quite up to par, oh man, that's a nightmare. There's nothing worse when a customer comes out and there's doors damaged and dinged, and they're like, you're gonna take care of this, right? And you're like, yeah, in like 2 years. They're like, and then by the time you come back in 2 years, it's faded, and now your panel's shiny, and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, it's out of my control. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, you should have been down there, you should have called them, you should have drove to the factory and been knocking on their door. And you're like, I got other customers, I can't only do so much. So I use a laser distance measuring tool to hang my doors. Best 50. So I've been using the laser too. Tanner, do you do any videos of it? You should if you just do a video for me. I'd like to see how you use it, because I kind of know how I do it, but I'm like self-taught, and I don't know if I'm doing it exactly the way I should do it. But sometimes I use it across like the sections to tell if my door is level. Sometimes I use it on the flag brackets. I'll just find something to anchor off of, or mark in my mind, like, oh, there's a slot there, there's a slot here to get my stuff, because correct me if I'm wrong, fellers, but if your door, if you realize you start having, and oh boy, I shouldn't even say this, because I know this can be a very long rabbit hole. We've gone down this before, but most commonly, the reason I used to have this all the time when I was younger. Now it doesn't. It's like it never happens. I don't know what changed. Probably because I'm using laser. I'm smarter. I look for things. I look for buildings that are crooked. I go off headers. Sometimes don't go off the floor. I have more things in my tool bag. But if you get the cable that slacks, when you push the door up all the way right by hand, and you'll have one cable that's slacked, the other side's tight. Well, obviously the go-to for a lot of young guys, and that's why I think this could educate them, that obviously, my first instinct back when I was a young buck is obviously you loosen it up while it's up, and I got to tighten this, right? And you tighten it, and then now the door don't sit right. It throws you all off. Well, I finally came to the conclusion. I was like, it's got to be because my track is off. And if it's off enough, what I've seen the door do a weird frown in a sense, like the door's up and you're like, oh, that don't look good at all. And then, you got to redo it, or you got to get the door to get out of the hole with the opener, like suck it out. But I think that's where the laser shines, is that now I don't have to rely on anything. I don't have to rely on the header. I don't have to rely on the building. I'm just perfectly, I don't care about your building being off. My door is perfect. It's gonna, it'll roll. That's just my opinion. But I'd like to see somebody else, the way they use it, if they got more practice with it, just to sprawl some ideas in my brain. Because the one I always wanted to do, and I never got around to it, I don't have a laser that does the full 360. But I've struggled personally with how do you explain it? It'd be like commercial, and commercial. If you ever do commercial, you got your bottom one, which is easy, the door, because you can go off of that, and you got a lot of things to tell levelness and stuff. But when you start hanging your uprights, right, that start climbing the wall, that you have no door, you're kind of floppy joppy, and if the jams aren't perfect, I've always thought if I had a laser shooting, maybe if I just caught the edge of the track, I could use that, and then I could adjust it, because you know how it is. If you put your screw in, you'll see the track, it twists or it does something. But I always thought, man, if I had a laser that went the whole distance, and I think I wanted two lasers to almost do this, where I could do it on both sides. I thought, and I never did it enough to say this is the way to go. Most time it's you kind of sight it, you kind of put a level on it, you get it pretty close, and then when you open the door, you realize, oh, it's off a little bit. You bang stuff over, and unscrew it, tighten it back up, whatever. I'm pretty good now where I can get it pretty much right in the ballpark. But sometimes you got to twist that track, some winding bars, and bend them. And I just wish there was a little more precise. This is, do you run a plumb bob? That might be an idea. Never thought of that. But you know how it is. Normally in the ceiling, you don't got perfect purlins or anything right there you can hit. So laser, you could just set on a tripod or something, and bam. I just thought that'd be great. A laser for $50. Where'd you buy that? At a yard sale? Just kidding. Standard torsion spring is only way to go. Old Faithful. Man, Dan, you are so right, man. It's just, you can't beat torsion spring. It's just like they haven't. I'm surprised they have. I know there's counterweights. I've seen counterweights. But, man, I just can't beat torsion. I keep waiting for what they're going to come out. Like, I'm waiting for that revolutionary thing that's, like, I didn't think of. Where, like, it's going to, like, put us out of business. Like, we're going to be like, the spring that lasts. I know they could do high cycle, but they don't. But I always wait for something that's like, we'll never have to do another service call. We'll never go back for springs. Springs are the thing of the past, I mean, like I said, you could do counterweights, but I don't know why they don't do more counterweights, honestly. I see them on, like, car washes and stuff like that, but rubber belts. What does it say? Yeah, the Rainer and bearing plates tip real bad. Also not a great design. Yeah, it was goofy. I remember when I was installing it was goofy. Think of using a laser level for my installs, but cannot think of many situations I could utilize it. Ooh, how to use it? Yeah, Tanner, come on, Tanner, we need a video, dude. It's not a laser. Oh, it's not a laser level. Oh, it's a distance measuring tool. Ah, I gotcha. But it's a laser that tells distance from front spring. What? Spring plate and the wall. To the back track. I got the best one that I use is that, I think it's a Bosch. You buy them like at Lowe's. They're not really that expensive. I've had a Johnson one. It had way too many options. But my Bosch one, I wish I had one. The little blue ones. The kids were riding the golf cart one day, and it was in the golf cart, and it flew out. And it sat out for probably about a year. I found it one day. I was cutting grass, and I'm like, oh, what's that, And it was out in the field. And it had moisture and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this thing's junk. So I didn't even like really mess with it. The batteries were corroded in the back. Thought, well, at least now I know where it's at. Bought a new one. And I thought, well, if that thing's not real accurate, doesn't work, I'd like it for the cast. Play with the cast, the laser. So I messed with it, right? I turned it on. Never missed a beat. It's accurate still too. Like I've compared them, and I was like, this thing, I don't know why I ever bought another one. This thing works just fine. I thought that was really cool that it sat out in the weather and everything had moisture in it, batteries corroded, and the darn thing still worked. I was like, that's pretty impressive. That's the kind of stuff I like. So, but those distant ones work great. I mean, they're, especially if you're just doing estimating and, you're trying to get stuff done versus, but I still go back sometimes with a tape measure. I don't know. I'm still a little bit old school. I just, if it's a little goofy, but they are nice. You guys ever work with cam hinges on old school doors? Cam hinges. Boy, that sounds familiar. Why do I feel like I've seen that? I think I've seen them. Like, is that where it's got like the two rollers, and it's got that weird? Yeah, I think I've seen it. and measure to the wall, hold it, and measure to the wall and hold it on the ceiling mark on the angle iron. What do you got going here? Ceiling angle, hang your door bottom perfectly. Come on, Tanner. You gotta send me a video of this. I want to see a video of this. I'm kind of getting it, but I want to see it. I think this would be great. I tried the laser thing and plumb bob. Oh. Did it work? I just, like I said, I got the laser one time. The problem was with my laser, it wasn't strong enough. So I was in a lit area and I had a hard time seeing it. So that was kind of one of the problems I ran into. But most time I can be up on the lift and I can actually kind of sight down it, and that gets me pretty darn close. But I've had certain ones that they use different steel, and then it's like you go to screw it and you can tell it's twisting, and it's just no fun when you go put the door up, especially when you're doing. It's like it feels like it's a real brain teaser. Like one I've done, it was like 10 or 15 doors in a row, and you do one, you're like, yeah, like this one's great. Look at, oh yeah, I'm the man. And then you do the next one, you're like, what the, that freaking track's too wide. What the hell? And I actually got to a point where one of them I was doing it. It was they had problems with the people throwing the doors up, so I ended up putting a piece of angle across. I think I did across. No, I think what I did, I started getting to a point where I angled it. I'd angle it so it anchor it, so when they slam it up to those bump stops, it wouldn't shift, because people just do some crazy stuff, especially when they're employees. They don't care, I watch my guys, right? They hold the rope, and I'm like, no, that's not how an employee is going to use it. This is how they're going to use it. Whee! And I let it fly up there and smash into the bumpers, and then come almost halfway back down, and it bounces back up. That's how an employee is going to use it. That works at the shop. They're not going to hold the rope and be nice to it. Why would they do that? Oh man. It says I just put my bottom section. Oh, level. I just checked my roll. Tag. Let's put a few sections and nice. What's up, Mr. Lawrence? Hello. Can I set my garage door to close after a certain amount of time? Kind of depends. I think LiftMaster does it. The residential. If you got that option, you have to check the manual, but they do make. I know LiftMaster. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I think they had the one that was like 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later, it would start beeping, blink, 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 start beeping, and the door would go down. It's kind of a nice feature. A lot of people now have the, stuff on their phone, smartphone. Airlift door somehow. Airlift. Oh man. What does it say? Most companies are going with rapid rolls of rapid rise sectional with hydraulic counterweights. Wow. Mr. Dan, that's pretty impressive. What? So companies are going with rapid rolls. Man, see, Dan, you gotta send me a picture or something of this, because that sounds interesting with hydraulics and counterweights. Sounds complicated too, all in the same, but it might be more simple. I second your idea. You should make a video, Tanner. Yes, make a video, Tanner. Let's see anybody got the laser, man. I would love. I've struggled with it. I've struggled with, like I said, I got it down for some reason. I don't know if it's just because now I'm more experienced, but it's like, I like to get things that are more cookie cutter, for the new guys coming in, or if you have a employee that you're starting to train, or they're not real seasoned, because you know how it is. If you're in the garage door business, everything is like a feel. It's like a smell. It's like a feel. It's like a sound. It's like you can look at something and go, oh, that's wrong. Like it's just experience. But it's hard to transfer that to the new guys sometimes, versus if you could say, all right, look, you're going to stack the door, you're going to level the door, you're going to level this track, and now when you do this, go up there, because now you got to mount your spring, right? It wouldn't be so bad if you didn't have to mount a spring, and you could just move your track around. But once you do all that, now you're kind of locked in, right? You got to You know, it's harder. And I just thought it'd be so nice if you could just sit, or if you even had it like on a jig or something, and you just say, hey, take this. You're 3 inches on this side, you're 3 inches on that side, run up or whatever, you know, take this, move it to the next one. Repeat. You know, and if something, you got to move your track as you're going up. I always struggled with that. And I thought, man, it'd be nice to be able to find a better way to battle that. Save you on time because, like I said, I don't know. I do a lot of them where I've done it and it's like that one runs perfect. Man, I'm so good. And I get the next one and I'm like, holy cow, am I drunk? Like, what the heck's going on here? I'm like, man, I gotta go up there and move that crap. And it's like, sometimes you get away with it. You can get the problem is most times your drums are tightened down. So if it's got a key, you can loosen it up and you can kind of bang it over and you can cheat, but it's not fun. I feel like I want that moment where I can see somebody do it and I'm like, that's ingenious. Or that's really good, but I think I could make it a little better. And what if we did this and we turn this or do something just to make it just a little better? Or it's perfect the way it is. You ever have that grandparent, somebody in your life that they showed you something and you're like, I'm a grown-ass man and I never even thought, I'm never going to do it the same again. I'm going to do it this way. This is way faster, quicker, easier. Why didn't I learn this in school? Oh. Cam hinges are the hinges that are linked together to make a tighter door seal. Whoa. Over my pay. Okay, I'm so professional video maker. Okay, Tanner said that. Well, I'll give it a go this week. And all right, that's awesome. Oh, doing the rib steel, good. Okay, so balling it also as long as their ceiling is straight. Heck yeah, man. Like I said, I think it'd be cool because anything to just, it sparks imagination is just so helpful with that stuff because, like I said, I still use a laser. I got it pretty good. I feel pretty confident how I use it. Like when I'll do residential, I'll throw the laser out because I'm lazy. Damn. That's just how I look at it. Let's go, hey, it's like having a friend over your shoulder going, it ain't good. It's kind of like when you mount the springs. You remember how many times, you're like, yeah, that looks good. And you put the screw in, right? And then you stand back and you're like, oh, that looks like crap. You're like, man, and then every manufacturer has different ways. So like I used to be able to I think I was measuring from like the plates on the end. I'd be like, okay, so the plates here. That's if the ceiling and everything's good. And then it was like, I'd measure the center and I'd be like, that's where it's got to be. And I could nail it. And then for manufacturer makes their plate different or something. And it would screw me all up. And I'm just like, so now I would just always, my speed was always, I'd normally, if I had somebody with me, hey, stand back. What does it look like? Is it level? And you got to kind of take in consideration, obviously, with the spring and sag, that'll throw you. Yeah, it looks good. And you zap it up there. Normally with somebody, it would look good, and you get back, especially when the customer's got that, their stairs, or their house door that as soon as they walk out, right, they're already, 3 feet up in there, staring right at it versus going, man, is that supposed to be sagging like that? Nah, not really. It's okay. It's just going to put more wear on the bearings. It's fine. Oh, man. You most always have to explain to the customers it's a moving wall. Yes, it is. It's the biggest. I like how they said it when I said that one thing or seen that little thing. It says it's the biggest moving appliance in your house. And I thought that's the way to. That's good. I like that. It's you got a washer, you got a dryer, you got a toaster. This is the biggest moving appliance in your house. Sales pitch. Customer moving wall. It cannot be completely sealed to jam. Yeah, sometimes people have a hard time. I see a lot of remodels and builders and everything. They get that. They always think it's like a man door. And then, boy, they struggle with making the jams right. So I always tell them the hand. I say, my hand's got to go flush all the way around this thing, because can I leave the block stuck out? And I'm like, no. I'm like, you got to pack that out. And then you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do up front here. I'm like, my hand must go all the way around. I'm like, and I'm on the backside. I'm not inside the jam, like a man door. They always seem to think that. I've had them too, homeowners. They think I build the door on the outside and stack it. And the garage is so full of crap I can't get in there. They're like, oh, I thought you did it from the outside. You think? You ever watch how that door goes up? You think how the track, like, how do you hang it from the ceiling? Like, just saying, you know, they get weird. Perfect, Dan. I appreciate it. Send it to me. Then you can base it off the rib. Ceiling LiftMaster has a timer. Closed. Some residential, most commercial. Menards have me set all their doors to close after 1 minute. Does I'm assuming Tanner, because I've worked at Menards. They got the dual photo eyes. I can't remember. I think they were doing bump stops too. The rubber, the bump on the bottom. They still doing the dual because we don't work there anymore. Somebody else does. Some guy like Chuck in a truck, which I kind of don't. I don't miss Menards. I really don't. I really don't miss Menards. Menards was a very handful of it was a very they were just a handful. You always had to have your PO. You always had to. You couldn't use your lift, right? You had to. I think we've talked about this. They want you to use their lift, which is not the right lift. And I don't remember if they were 60 days out or 90 days. I can't remember. They were a ways to pay. That's for sure. Let's see here, Mr. Tanner. It says 100%. Oh, it's funny. This is so cool. This is a garage door man must be able to do all trades to be a good installer. Oh man, I like that. I think that's true. It's kind of like when you come up and when you're taking out an old door and you got the track that's buried in the concrete and you're like, oh darn that concrete guy. You're like, why do you do this to me? I mean, now you just turn into you wear many different hats. There's no doubt about it. I think that's in the construction in general. It's fun being in construction, isn't it? Because isn't it fun? We all do this. Why doesn't the door sit? Why doesn't it? Must have been the concrete guy, And then the concrete guy, it's the garage door guy, And it's the framer to, everybody's always pointing fingers. You know what I mean? It's interesting. Yeah. What's up, Mr. Rich? Got the blue cup today. The Wesco. Anybody got a Wesco by them? They're pretty big here in Michigan. Good company too. They do a lot of innovating, a lot of sales. Really, really good company. Corner. Use a magnetic. I'm so bummed. I bought that Milwaukee laser, and I cheaped out. I think I saved like $100 or something, maybe 200. And I didn't buy the full. I should have bought the full 360. Should have bought the Mac Daddy. I was already there. Just for another $100 or $200, whatever it was. And I didn't because there's just so many more options. I've used it for remodels. I've used it for garage doors, and I wish I had the more options. And I should have spent a little bit more, just a little bit more on my laser, and I would have had the Mac Daddy. But I don't know which one you got, Dan. I got the magnetic. Mine's a Milwaukee. I don't know what model, but. Can you say hello to me, please? I can. I don't really know how to say your name because didn't finish school. Well, actually I did, but they didn't learn nothing. Is it Brentley? Brentley, I hope you're doing well. Aim straight to line full verts. Follow the roof line, tracks. Yeah, I think my problem was I used to go off the ground too much, and I was a lazy installer when I first started out. I don't know if I want to say lazy. I just didn't know any better, so I didn't keep the track off the ground. I just slammed. I went to the ground basically on everything. So the floor could have had a slope to it, and I just, boom, 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 boom. I didn't know any better. And then I'd always, you go to put the door up, and it's like, what the. Why is this door why is this door look like it's got a pitch to it, up in the air? And you're like, that's embarrassing. And you know how it is. You already did all this work. You got 2 more jobs you got to do that day because you're hustling. You got to make a paycheck. And you're like, oh, whatever, man. The opener will suck it out of the hole. It's better than what it was. It's fine. Hopefully the cable doesn't, pop off or it's close enough. And I had my fair share of cables popping off. And of course, when you do so many service calls back, you're like, all right, this has got to stop. This is just stupid. Uh, Hunter Adventures. I have built. Let's say I've built homes and pole barns. Makes knowing how to hang doors. One residential doors. Understanding how rafters are even. The sheetrock. Yep. Commercial for adding. What is your favorite truck make and model? That's a great question. My daughter asked me that today. She was like, we were talking about. She always oh man, I don't know if Cora, she's watching. She should jump in. But there's a certain vehicle. I don't know if it's a Land Cruiser or something. And I told her, I said, you ain't driving that. I said, that thing gonna be. It's got so many problems with those things. It's a very expensive vehicle. I personally I'm a kind of a Toyota fanboy. Not that I have anything against the Chevys. We got Chevys in the fleet. I've had Fords and everything. But does anybody here watch Scotty Kimmler? Scotty Kimmler's like my dad. You know what I mean? Like I watch that man. Like he's my grandpa, and I'm like, I love Scotty, and I think he has a lot of valid points. And so I watch and I listen to him, and I see the problems they're having. And even he confessed that even Toyota right now has came out with some new motors that are not proven, and I agree. We're putting a lot of six-cylinder, turbocharged stuff in things that we don't know are proven. And we know how people are lazy, and we should know that with turbochargers, that typically turbochargers, you need to keep your oil, extremely clean. And so maintenance is huge, and people, including myself, sometimes maintenance falls short. It gets forgotten. You get super busy, life, whatever, and so I don't have. It's kind of like even with the garage doors, with like pretty much everything in my life. I don't have a certain. I always look at it. I always like that concept. Buy whatever was something that's been in production for 10 years and buy the last year of it. So you can do all that research. But vehicles are a huge expense for people and for business owners, including myself. She asked me even when we were driving, she said something about GMC. She said, is GMC? And I said, it depends. I said, I think on some of their trucks, I said they do make good trucks. I said, it's just, unfortunately, we all have this problem. It's called the government, and they like to govern you and slow you down. And so with some of this, fuel stuff, I'm all about the environment, but when the vehicle is going to cost you, you hit 100,000, now you got to put 10 grand into it. That's very expensive, and that's hard for the average person, including myself. That's extremely expensive, and I've been there. I've been there with the Ford PowerStroke 6.4. I was out of that era of the fanboy, and that's when all the emissions started hitting, and I bought one with emissions, and I got a truck with a payment. I got insurance I'm paying on it. I got a truck that's in the shop that I got to spend, I think I put like, $8,000 in head gaskets and studs, and that wasn't a lot of fun. And so that's extremely stressful. So biggest thing always is just make sure you do your homework. Do your homework. Don't buy an impulse. Oh my gosh, that's a good deal. Yeah, it might be a good deal because there's something behind it. If you knew nothing about Ford 6.4s, you'd be into a rude awakening. Unfortunately, I was lucky to get rid of mine, but my truck was probably a good truck for the next guy because I already put so much money and did a lot of things, but I didn't know it. I bought a truck to sing. It's a diesel. It's a diesel. Diesels run forever. Well, not this one. Lumber or what we build, jams, headers, take sliders off. Oh yeah, the sliders. I had the slider on the old shop here. I took off years ago. We don't do it a bunch. Oh man. Good, man. Says I'm a great installer. That's awesome. We need good people. Old Menards. Gotta love the old Menards. I went in there the one day and there's this guy. There's like nothing on their truck. It's it's a truck that's pretty rusty. It's pretty dirty. You know, stuff's all cluttered across the windshield. Which, if you do that, stop that. You need to clean your windshield or clean your dash at least. I can't stand all that paper crap all over the dash. I mean, I get sunglasses here and there, but I mean, like when it's 3 layers deep, it drives me nuts. But I remember, you know, I go in there and they got some, I mean, they're scissor lift super, you know, and I'm like, so this is what you guys you upgraded to, huh? It's like you got rid of us, and now you upgraded to these guys, huh? Okay. And I just, you know, it's like I want to be like, hey, don't forget, you can't bill for that scissor lift. You just got to put more hours on. So make sure to go out and have a sandwich, your lunch, and have a pop, and have a cigarette, and then have a stogie, and then have another cigarette. You know, because you need you can bill for hours, but you can't bill for that scissor lift. And those things are expensive. You know, I just they got their weird caveat, but you know, you do what you got to do. I mean, you can make money. Great. Menard sucks. Yes, double. Oh, double photo eyes. Yes. Yep. Since they're 90 days out. Yes, that's what I thought. I thought they were quite a ways, I believe, but we do bring our own lifts. Yeah, we brought our lift too. It was just you couldn't if you used their lift, those stand up ones, you couldn't get high enough. And it never failed. One would be broken, or somebody needed it, and you know somebody standing there. Are you guys done yet? And you're like, I'm barely even started, dude. Like I got cables wrapped around the shaft. I got a freaking mess up here, and you have to wear their harness. Door 10. That's the way the building used to be situated. It was always door 10. They revamped the building, so now it's like different layout in there. But door 10, they had like an exterior door 10 and they had an interior door 10. And they used the crap out of those doors. And they always were breaking. I mean, I used to write, I don't know if Tanner, if you do this, or if anybody, I used to write the dates. I used to love it. I'd write the dates right on the walls up there. I'd write my initials and whoever was with me. And then I'd write the date. I'd write maybe like how many turns we put on or something. Any kind of information I could. Because those springs, they were probably they were high cycle springs, but they didn't last. If you got a year out of them, you were doing pretty good. We normally, I think it was right around a year, a little under or a little over. We get a year out of them, and they'd blow, and we'd try to get higher cycles. And of course, with Menards, they always wanted to order their own stuff, and sometimes they screw it up. And I remember like an opener, they had a J up there, LiftMaster, and we're like, this thing's shot. You guys can get this. So you guys order one. Then they ordered an MJ, and it's like, and of course, it's one of those, the holiday weekend, whatever this, and it's like, I think we put it on there, and now the door runs faster. It tore the opener up so fast because they used the crap out. It's like, you guys got the wrong opener, and then we're like, we're here that day, so we're just trying to make something work. It just, it probably worked okay for us at the time because I knew the lady in the door department. So I kind of worked with her. I think we were ordering sections, or I was getting parts, and then finally one day it kind of kicked off, and she was also the one that was in charge of it. So she started using us, so it worked good. But it's kind of weird because her name was Beth, but you could just tell her, she knew, right? But then when it switched to somebody that they just didn't get it, and they were screwing things up all the time, and it was like, this is just not worth the headache. And so True loved hanging doors. I'm buying a Milwaukee. You're my hero. Well, I'm glad. I hope your hero can be around. A lot of mine are gone. Bartley, he says hi. Hello. You're cool. Can we be buds? Oh, I don't know about that. I'm kind of a loner. You said it right. It says nice mini split. Oh, you like the mini split? That little piece of crap been kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. No, the mini split's been pretty good to us. It's when it gets really cold. This shop actually was spray foamed. I don't know what I really think about the spray foam. I'm still kind of the fence with it. I'm not like super impressed. But I got it all spray foamed, and then we had the mini split installed because I didn't want to run gas to shop, so we ended up just doing that. Problem I found out with these things is that they got a filter in them. And even if you clean the filter, they still can have problems, like everything. And they got to come in here and put a bib on this thing. And they put a bib on it, and then they drain water through it, do their thing, clean it. But the remote, if I knew the remote is, I'd show it to you. But the remote is so complex that it's got like baby mode, it's got soft mode, it's got you name every kind of mode on that thing. And I'm like, I just want a thermostat. I turn the knob and I'm like, I want it to be 72, just make it happen, or whatever. And this thing's got just so many, like it's scary to even mess with it because it's got so many options. But otherwise it works nice. It does do the job. We had a problem with the outside condenser getting snow on it, so it's actually got a dumpster. I bought a dumpster for it and cut out the back of it to protect it, and it works. It works. It's if I could do it again, I probably would do something a little more robust. There's a lot of things I'd probably do different. More insulated doors. A lot of these doors, like this front door. Let me see if I don't know if you can see it. Right there. I put these steel doors in, but the front door was like a $4,000 door. Yeah. And I always remember when they're cutting the grass, I'm like, please don't hit the door. I'm like, that was like a $4,000 door. And these metal doors are extremely expensive. But I was thinking about today as I'm walking through, I thought, they've held up. I haven't, but they don't seal worth a pooey because they're commercial doors. So we're bleeding a lot of heat out of this place always, unfortunately. So I probably think I might do like radiant floor or something. A little more, just make it a little more cozy. A lot of things change. You said it. What brand is that? I don't know what the brand. It says it's Fitigi? Let's see if the remote's right here. Where is it? Where is the remote? Does anybody know? It could be anywhere. It's supposed to be somewhere so you can know how to change it. I don't know where it's at. Oh, it's right here. Here it is. Take a look at this puppy. Look at this thing. This is kind of like that stuff. It's kind of like you guys in your openers, right? They just got so many bells and whistles. Look at this thing. It's got all these options. And then you come down here. And it's got all these options. I mean, it's just freaking crazy. It's got eco mode. I mean, it's just too much. It's just too much. It really is. I wish I would have known more. I didn't know nothing about them. I wish I could have just got something with a dial that was even just a thermostat below it. And you turn it up, you turn it down. I mean, this thing has been, when the secretaries were in here, this thing has been like a fight. It's like you come in here and you're like, geez, it's so hot in here. It's like, where's the remote? You turn it down to the fullest, lowest, just like at home, right, with your wife. You're turning it down, she's turning it up, or it's all the other way around. I mean, it's just got too much where it's like, I just want it on the wall, I want to lock it, and just don't touch it. It's fine. It's perfect. It'll work the way it's supposed to. Let's see. Lazy is not true. It says, what do you guys think of the... What is it? Infinity Shield? What is it? Infinity Shield. Let's see. It says, I haven't used one yet, but in theory, sounds like an amazing idea. Probably the biggest game changer for last 10 years. So can somebody explain what are we talking about? Infinity Shield. Is this like some kind of protective coating? I don't know what that is. Oh, that's good. Thanks for the... It says we are friends. Oh, good. We are buds. We can hang out. Great. We be buds. Okay, what's it say? This dude. Okay. Appreciate it. Amen. Favorite truck model? Chevy Duramax 2500. All right. It says, but... what... I love how Tanner puts it. Duh. What year, though, Tanner? Because, is it just all of them? You love all of them? They got injector problems. You know it. Come on. You know it. There's a certain year they got injector problems. And they put the def on the wrong side. Under the hood. Who does that crap? Oh, Dan's right up there. A Chevy 2500. He's probably a diesel guy, too. I can't do diesels. I don't got deep pockets like you guys. It says, yeah, I love that truck. Scotty, yes. Oh, yeah. Love the Hondas. What are you going to do with a Honda, though? You can't drive them. I just watched Scotty do a Honda, I guess, I don't know if it's still a Ridgeline, but it's a unibody, and he was talking highly of it. And I thought, I didn't even really kind of realize. And he's like, I'd buy that. He says the Honda, I don't know if it was a Ridgeline. It was a Honda, though, little truck, four-door. It looked like the Ford Maverick that's out. And for some reason, I don't know why, I really like the Ford Maverick. I'm like, That thing looks like it'd be low to the ground. It's kind of easy to get in and out of. It's smaller. It's got not like maybe for a full service vehicle. Don't get me wrong. I'm just talking more kind of personal hunting stuff, whatever, fishing. I thought, I think, but then I was watching it and I was like, yeah, I agree. And I thought it was funny how he says, the Ford Maverick is basically made in Mexico, which the quality typically in Mexico is not very good, typically. And the Honda is, it's made in the United States, and I'm like, where have we gone so wrong in this world? Which I know that from my dad, because my dad worked in the automotive industry, and he would always tell me, he says, people don't realize that actually a lot of the foreign cars are actually made more in the United States than the domestic ones, the GMs and stuff. And I'm just like, and I have a lot of customers that tell me too. And, I'm all about, I like to support it. But when it comes down to my old pocketbook, man, I need things to make financial sense, and I need reliability, and I need things to not cost me an arm and a leg. And so, fortunately, a lot of this stuff just has weird, in my opinion, I feel like when we hit 2007 is when things just kind of went awry. With some of the diesels, some of the emissions, anything 07 and older, not everything, but somewhat in a nutshell, they were better. You know what I mean? And I couldn't even tell you. Like, I'd be so nervous. I don't know, some of the stuff to buy right now that's new without knowing, especially if it's got like a new motor, new trans. I'm 33. Nice. 64. That's awesome, Hunter. Dan. My father handed doors. Wow. Doors in the 70s. Wow. So Dan, are you like a second generation? Because the one guy I know that's a vendor now, he was a second generation, I believe. That's pretty cool. Oh, Tanner's got the 06. That's right, the Duramax van. Come on, Tanner. I want to see a picture of that. I want to see the picture of that van. It's probably all like got it's like lifted kind of because it's a 4-wheel drive. Best door rig. Is that a Mississippi? Oh, man. I want to see a picture, man. You got my email. I know you do. I want to see these pictures. Or send them to my phone. Send a pic. Whatever. It says turtles should be ran for 5-10 minutes before you shut down. Yep. I do hear that. If you're running them hard, especially, let them cool down. They'll cook. But, it's just another, you're putting more pressure in the engine. There's just, don't get me wrong, they're great, but what was it, like when Ford came out, they were doing the EcoBoost truck. I kept hearing all these, they're going in limp mode. And then it was like, it was irritating because they were sucking in some kind of moisture up here in Michigan. And so it was putting the truck in limp mode, and I kept hearing people going, I almost got in an accident because, I go to pass somebody or whatever, or I'm on the highway, and this thing just all of a sudden just like loses power, goes in limp mode. And so then what I started hearing is they were going into the dealership, and they were, we were doing a program. Well, basically what they were doing is they were detuning the truck so it wouldn't have as much power. So when sucking as much air, you couldn't basically, and I thought, well, that's great. Like, you're used to a truck, how it drives, the performance, you love it. Maybe it tows a certain way, you like it. And now you're like, man, this truck doesn't feel like it's got as much oomph. Well, yeah, because the computer's been detuned now, so it doesn't have this fault. A lot of this direct injection stuff's having problems instead of being in the port to keep the port and the valve clean. There's a lot of stuff going on. What is the one out right now that's got the belt? Ford makes some little car that's got the belt with the oil. The belt's in the oil, the tiny belt. And so it's as it's chewing up, which I didn't even think of that part. It says as it's chewing up, it's plugging up the oil filter, not the oil filter, but the oil pump. I'm like, how does this even happen? Like, with all these years in development, and like, how do they go, we ain't going to do that? There ain't no way. We use a rubber timing belt. It's on the outside. There ain't no way you put in the motor because this thing starts deteriorating. It'll kill the motor. I just, it's kind of like when Ford came out for a while there, and they were spitting out a spark plug, and I thought, how does a truck spit out a spark plug? I thought, how many years have we been building automotive and not to go, hey, engineering or whatever, we got a problem. Like, you can't have 3 threads in the bore. That ain't enough. That ain't gonna, like, we've always done 6 or whatever. Just some stuff that just drives me nuts. And it's kind of like I see it like in the garage door industry sometimes too, right? We'll have a product. It seems like it works good. It's good, and you're doing great, and you're on with them, and you're a lover of them. And then all of a sudden, it's like we're like, oh, we're gonna change it. And you're like, why? Well, this is better. Why is it better? Because it's better. But why? Because it's cheaper for us to make. You know, that's what it feels. And you're like, what about me? Because you're the end. I'm trying to find, like, if anybody ever comes across a video or anything out there in the YouTube University, I'm trying to find one that explains how we get screwed, in a sense, as being like the end user. And I don't know how to say that, but I think as us as technicians, as men, women, children, everything. Well, the children aren't out there installing typically, unless you're Amish. But you think about it, right? We got so much, like, when you guys understand what I'm talking about when I say when you go out there, right? And you're at the customer, right? And you got the sweat, and maybe the truck's leaking a little bit of oil or whatever, so you got to make sure you put some cardboard under it, or you got to park on the road and huff that tool's extra distance. And, you know, you get there and you're trying to get things set up, and then you're just like, man, this is the last job for the day. Hallelujah. And you go install that door, right? And you take a glance over the door that you're installing, right? You're opening it up, you're flipping it with somebody, whatever, or maybe you're by yourself. That's always fun. 16 by 7, 16 by 8. It's all doable, but when they got installation, they get heavy, especially at the end of the day. And, you know, you look down that thing and you're like, what is that? And there's damage. And now you're like, and this person, right? It's like a cheerleader over there, right? It's the wife of the house, whatever, and she's just like, I'm so excited for my new garage door. And now you're like, honey, come over here. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your brand new garage door's got damage on it. What? Oh my. Oh no, this can't be. Don't say it's true. What are you going to do? You know, and you're like, I'm just going to go dig myself a hole in the backyard right now and bury myself, you know, because it's got, you know, that's all these problems. And so, you know what I mean? Like, when you're in the thick of it, I always think of, like, I'm like waiting to find this video where it's like somebody explains, like, when you're the end user, right? Because now you can call the vendor, right? But they don't have to, like, they don't have to feel it. They don't have to deal with it, right? And then it's like, oh, we'll send you a new section. When? Oh, maybe 3. No, maybe 6. Probably 8, 12 weeks. You know, and then it's, you know what I mean? It comes in, maybe it's damaged again, or, you know, now you got to make the time to go out there. The door was already open. You're already there. You know what I mean? Now you got to call, and now I'm on vacation. Now you got this door section sitting around. You know what I mean? All these things that add up. And I'm always like, it's so much easier to be like the middle person than the end. Because I see everything on the end, you run into so many what I call variables. This is just my opinion. You run into so many variables that's just, there's so many things that are unforeseen. I go to so many jobs I've done over the years, and the guys will tell me, they're like, you know, they're, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And I'm sitting there and I go, I have no freaking clue. Like, I've already spent 2 nights in a row packing the hell out of this truck to make sure I got every battery charged, every screwdriver, all the Sawzall blades you can imagine, grinders. I got everything. But I know something's going to be wrong. Just something. And it's like, it's always like, it always made me feel better. Like if I lost, like if I didn't bring, like, let's say, disc for the grinding wheel or something, right? That was my fault. But when it's the product and you see something, you're like, they could have done this better. You know, like, for instance, Wayne Dalton did this one time. This happened to me about 2 or 3 times. I would get a box that was perfectly packaged. Perfectly. Not one dent, not one rip, not one scratch. I'd open it up, and I learned this the first time it happened to me. I didn't understand it. I opened it up, and I went, why has it got holes like where a strut would go? I mean, it's where I'm going to put the strut, but why is there holes in this thing? And it was like they literally got this door sent back from some other installer. They put it back into a box, so the ends are all glued. And I didn't understand. I was like, well, well, then I'd go install it, right? And it was always like a top section or something. It'd have windows in it. And the first time I noticed, I put this strut on, I hid the screws. I'm like, whatever, screw it. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. I look it over. But then the door would be up, right? And be putting the outside weather seal up, whatever. And I found a little dimp. There's a little dimple right there by the window. Just very subtle. And I only noticed it, right, because I'm the garage door guy and I'm also working right here, and the sun was hitting it just right. And I'm like, holy crap, there's a dent in this door. How the heck did that get there? And I'm like, did this thing come back? Like, I swear somebody installed this. They seen it, said, oh, no. They took the strut off it. They sent it back into the factory. And this thing got repackaged. They didn't catch it. They're like, oh, what's wrong with this? He said, there's a dent. There ain't no dent in this. They sent it back out. So then the second time it happened, I was like, oh, no. So I looked for it, and I was like, I seen it. I was like, yep, I found the problem. So now, of course, I got to install it because I'm here. I already tore the other door out. I install it. I already confessed to the customer, hey, there is damage on this. Okay, I'll get you a new one. We'll get something figured out. But those are the things that really, or, like the openers when LiftMaster was having like their photo eyes would just shut off and the customers couldn't shut their doors, or like right now we're having the Genie problems, with the RPM sensors being cracked. Somebody on the line's doing something. I mean, I think we've had upwards of 15 out of a skid. I mean, and I think they've been cool about it, but it's still embarrassing when you're at a home improvement place, right? And the builder that knows you from previous is like, hey, yeah, he's like, you guys were just out. Yeah, they just came back out again. I guess they replaced the opener. And you're like, well, what? And they're like, yeah, I guess something's wrong. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I heard about that. Well, that sucks. That ain't cool. So I always think about, I go, and so, yeah, the manufacturer, right? They got a problem. They're going to eat money too or whatever. But they don't have to deal with the end consumer. They don't have to look that person in the eye. They don't have to make it right. They don't have to deal with the sweat. They're in a controlled environment for most. Yeah, just send it back. Just send it back. We'll figure something out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just looking for it. Oh, snap. What'd you send me? I see Mr. Sky overhead. Let's see. I don't know if I can. Make sure, Mr. Sky overhead, make sure you email that to me if it's something good. Because I don't know if I can get it back in the lives. Lives are a little different than the videos. I always see the comments, but the lives, if it's like if you comment on a live, it's like I never see it. I don't know why. I don't. I mean, I'll see it right now while we're on it, but when I'm off of it, they don't pop up. Like the other ones don't either. But I click into them, and I either have the options to unread or reply, which is tough because the reply ones get goofy. So if you guys ever, if you guys ever need to, just hit me up with the email if you got something or you're like, hey, he never replied to me, and I apologize because it's a lot more time invested to try to go back and to reply. I'll reply, but then it's hard to go back and find them. It's kind of hard to explain. What did it say? I used to run pickups all the time. Had an F-250 diesel that probably the 7.3. Run Ford Transit now. Yeah, that's right, man. The vans are. Yeah, Tanner says the vans are. I agree too. The vans are just the only way to go. They just are, especially as you get older. If you don't want to tear up your body, trucks, they're up too high typically unless you get a 2-wheel drive. The vans, everything's right here by the gut. You can pull stuff out. You're out of the weather. I love the vans. Love the vans. That's right. Cheers, Mr. Sky overhead. This is a Chevy, 350 flatbed. Wow, man, that's awesome. You got the big boy stuff. I got welders, torches, racks. Yeah. And then, and that's, Dan, I totally get that. Like, if you're doing, like, if I was more super, we were just always, like, doing commercial, that would be the way to go. Welder, oh, heck yeah, man. A welder, I mean, that's the big boy stuff, I always say. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have a full, like, when we were going to start doing, we were doing it, it was a pain, dock plates and stuff like that. I mean, you got to have a killer welder. You got to have good skills. Nice, like, some of those trucks, you can get those one trucks that got the longer beds on them, which I was like, dude, that's great. Like, if you get one that's like 12 or 16 feet or whatever, it's extended basically, one that would have had a box truck on it or whatever, that's great for hauling things. You definitely can always use more room, it seems like, and more uh, suspension, basically. Heavier duty truck. Well, there's torches. But we got portable ones, the little tanks, those, for torches. They get you out of a bind. But if you're doing stuff hardcore, especially like commercial, we don't do enough of that. We do our 12 by 14s, and basically that's like 14 by 14s. We've gotten to a few bigger on some of the farms and stuff like that, but we're just tap screws. Everything's tap screws. Welders. You know how it goes. You gotta get guys that are not burning stuff. Throwing slag on stuff they're not supposed to, and got the blankets. Not hurting the doors and doing things like that. And it's just that's like a totally different avenue. Like you got to be a different skill level for sure. Menards door number 16 is always my problem child. They got the full glass, right? Everything's glass. The bottom's like got a few plexiglass because it's got smashed a few times by the forklift or it's slammed to the ground by hand. I go to church with one. That's cool. That's cool. I remember when I used to kind of have kind of relationship with them too at Menards there. You know, I knew a lot of the guys there. Now I go in there. I know a few. They kind of look at me funny. They'll cross-eyed, kind of like, "Hey, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Nope, nope, nope. Don't look at me." I think it's shield free work. It knows to say I'm going to push customers into buying them. So I'm thinking of installing. I don't know where I left off here. I had the good. It's pretty forward. Yeah, I understand. It says Nitro. Don't forget moms with the minivans. Oh, yes, the sucker moms. Is back into the door. Hitch. Yeah. That's what I was trying to explain on, I think it's James. James is a guy I'm friends with on Facebook. And he's a cool kid. He's grown up. I think he's somewhere around 18 or so now. Might be a little older now. But I believe he was one of the first that ever messaged me in garage doors. And so I see some of his pictures. He's doing some installs. And I always give him crap. I'm like, you watch that disconnect. It's like, that disconnect needs to go above the header. I was like, I don't care what the situation is. Like, it goes above the header. I said, because one day I said, you're going to have somebody with an SUV or whatever, and they're going to catch that darn thing and they're going to rip the door down. And I said, it happened to me on Thanksgiving Eve at a commercial job, and that wasn't fun. So you make sure that disconnect, So those moms and, I had a lady one time too. She hit the door and she's like, what'd she say? She goes, the door malfunctioned. And I'm like, that could be. You are 100% could be. But my guess is that you put the car in reverse before the door was all the way up. That's my guess. Because it was a new install. And I kind of explained to her, I said, well, here's because she was kind of getting where she's like, well, you need to take care of this. And I said, this is kind of how this works. I said, it's kind of like, when you back up, I said, you're responsible. If you run over a kid, right? If you're in a party or whatever, right? And you don't walk around the back of your car or whatever, and you run over a kid, that's your responsibility. You ran over a kid. You're the one who put it, it's kind of like the garage door. You got to make sure it's up. I know I chance it myself, right? As I've gotten older. I look in the mirror, side mirror, right? But I don't do the whole head turn or really dig for it, right? And I listen to the opener, right? But I always know that if I hit that door, I know it's my fault. The door didn't go up all the way. And I chance it sometimes. But I just couldn't believe she was really, and I'm like, you're right. It could have malfunctioned. But ultimately, you ran into it. So you can't put this on, on us, basically. This thing's awesome. It says, it's got a wave. First, those soccer moms are a danger to garage doors. Minivans, that's right. Let's see, 2020 up Fords are pretty good. Dodge, I about agree with that. 22 good. Chevy, CP4. Yeah, I heard a lot. I've been watching a lot of the CP4 pumps. I guess they finally got an upgrade for the CP4 pump. It sounds like any kind of fuel. You know what I'm always really surprised so far? I mean, I was thinking about the other day, and what I got? I don't know what it is. I got 2 diesels or something. But either way, with the diesels, I was thinking about it, and I was going, because I had this happen one time. I was at the gas pump that I normally typically use, and I used it for a torpedo heater that puts off heat. And all of a sudden, the torpedo heater is not working. Now, I strictly always use kerosene, and then I switched over to diesel because it was cheaper. I couldn't find kerosene locally anymore, and it was expensive. So I started using diesel in it. And I've already ran it for, about 2 years with diesel and never had a problem. It always fires right up, everything. All of a sudden, I started having problems. I'm like, what is going on? It seems like something like the fuel's contaminated. So I start looking in it, and I can see the trade, the signs of water in this thing. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, I use sealed gas cans. I'm very religious about that stuff. And I'm thinking, how, like, they sold me bad gas, basically, or bad diesel fuel. And so I didn't go there. I dumped all that out. I got rid of it. I went somewhere else. I got diesel. I put it in there. Thing worked like a charm. And I kept thinking, I don't want to trust these pumps, really, for any fuel, to be frank. And I thought, I am surprised. Now, maybe you guys know of something I don't, but somebody hasn't invented. I mean, you know how they got all these funnels now that'll filter out water? Somebody invents something that goes over, right? It sleeves over the pump, and it can take the volume pretty much right then and there, that you could stick into your vehicle. And it's just, you pull it out. It's going to be a little sloppy here and there. But I just thought, boy, for diesel trucks especially with any kind of contamination, any kind of water, obviously you can't put DEF in it. That screws them all up. I just thought, I can't believe you don't see it on TV or on YouTube or anywhere, somebody advertising like, look at my filter. You stick it on the nozzle and you just pour it in and voila, you never have to worry about contamination, and you change out the cartridge, every 6 months or something. It just seems like it'd be a perfect sales gimmick. So now who's going to be the one that's going to make it and make millions? Because just remember, Uncle Dave told you. Let's see. So we stopped giving our young employees vans just too much damage to. Yeah, I'm sure they can dent them up. Light duty trucks for the young guys. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure those guys can do some damage. Kids. We had a guy that was working for us. He young kid. And I kept hearing through the grapevine, he's always on his phone. He's always taking selfies. And he had really bushy hair, But he worked. He was a grunt, basically. And finally, one day, the guy that was running the shop here, he let some drive one of the service trucks. They're up north, drive it back, 2-truck, whatever. I call it a 2-truck plan. And anyways, driving back, well, he the first time he drives one of our trucks, basically, he drove it up there, I think, but driving it back, he smashes in the back of somebody. I was like, are you kidding me? Deploys the airbags. It was a Ford. We had Ford Rangers at the time because gas prices were insane, and they just worked good. They were small, cheap, reliable, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, and I thought, I bet he was on his phone. Yes, it says, I wish I could go. I really wish I was younger so I could keep going in commercial. I bet, man. I bet. I mean, think about it. Dan, what are you, 62, you said? I think 62. I mean, you're right there about my dad, I know it can add up. You could probably still do stuff. You're fit, but that age, man, that stuff creeps up to all of us. It's gonna. Look at all these white hairs. Those never used to be there. So I love the late night mercy call. Cable off. Go there. It says go 2 hours to get there, and the door upside down. So you seen that? You must have seen that door. Man, I tell you, that door was. I've come across some doozies. I'm sure you guys have as well. And man, I tell you, I don't know. It's an adventure. I mean, that's what does make it interesting. But sometimes I feel like I like to take a little more. I don't like surprises. I don't like birthdays. I don't really like the whole surprise, or Christmas, I don't need surprises. And I feel like the business has punished me in that, because it's like everything you go to is like surprise, and you're like, I am so unprepared. Crap, and you get through it, but sometimes at what price? Um, and I don't really have nothing to gripe about now, because I'm so blessed and so honored to have such a wonderful crew, and I would do anything for them as I know they would do anything for me, and they're such great people. And it's just wonderful being around, you know, good people. You know what I mean? It's just I made a lot of mistakes, just hiring the wrong, and just keep trying to work with them and try to nurture them or try to change them, and that just doesn't happen. You got to find them kind of good from the get go, and honest and trustworthy, and take pride in their work, things like that. But yeah, late nights, I've had a lot of those. We don't even, we might, for a few select customers, they have to really ring our phones through the back doors to make us go out. But that's kind of what I was trying to explain earlier with like the hustle. I get these guys and they're like, I'm not, and I'm like, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it takes a long time. I mean, it's probably been, probably since I've been in it for about 10 or 15 years, to where I feel like I was kind of, now I can kind of relax. Not so much anxiety, drama, stress. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of weird. Chelsea's General Store. Don't know if you have them over there, but they have water in their gas fuel. Ooh, yeah. We don't have any the cozies or whatever. General. Everything over here is kind of like Wesco, BP. Got a little bit of Speedway, Marathon. We just had one open up down the road. It was kind of prematurely, I think, how they opened. They didn't have their water yet or something. So I heard people already complaining. I mean, they're kind of, their grand opening sound like a real, like they shouldn't have opened up. They had a Little Caesars to go, and I just seen somebody today apologize that they don't do any orders. It's just, you go in there and grab it, which is fine. I mean, that's cool. But the water, I thought, geez, you guys open before your water, so the bathrooms, I think they had Porta Johns outside, and I just thought, man, that's kind of a harsh grand opening. That's not a good way to start out. It says, yes, we got it running again. Yeah. Hang on to the good ones. What is this one? I don't know what that one says. I don't know what that one is. Back in the crazy days, would work 3 days straight to finish a job. And the time and straight. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, I get it. I've been down at bigger jobs, and I've slept in hotels, and with another guy, which is always, especially when like the guy's like darn near out of prison. I mean, that's what it looks like. You guys ever watch? I don't watch it, but I've seen the previews and stuff. But Breaking Bad, that guy that's bald, he does. I don't know if I think he's a drug dealer or something. I don't know what his whole thing is, but that's kind of what he looked like. You know what I mean? Bald, just kind of weird, like just, and I needed him at the time because he knew I didn't know nothing about the whole general contractors and blueprints, and so we got the job. He wanted to do this job. It was a big job, lots of doors, and it was just too far away. I mean, it was like 3 hours one way, and man, we stayed in a hotel the whole week, and then the darn truck. I remember the air conditioner broke, and it's hot summertime, and we're trying to cruise back, getting stuck in traffic jams. The windows are down, and we're just like hanging out of the vehicle, like, oh man, we just want to go home. Don't seem. I don't seem to miss that. I like being home. I like that the guys are not doing nothing crazy too. I know Cap here. We had one that was about 2.5 hours, and he told the builder we kind of got it, but he just told him politely that we bid it for him, but now he's looking for numbers, and he's like, we're just gonna probably pass. It's probably just the best for right now. We don't want to try to dig up all those kind of things. What's Mr. Kevin got? 2 types of maintenance men. Door is ready to fall on someone. What? And photo cell problem. Sure, what problem? Oh man. As the parking lot problem get there. The doors. I remember this was a residential. And I remember I get there, right? And this lady, she was a sweet old lady, right? The white hair, everything. I mean, she's just a pristine little. And I get there, and the door's outside of the jam. It's on the ground, and there's tire tracks. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And she goes, well, she goes, I had to go to the doctor. I had an appointment. And she goes, I put the catering first, and I just gave her hell. And she literally took that door right down and everything. And I'm sitting there like looking at her like, what do you want me to do? This thing's all crumpled up. And she's like, well, I don't know. She's like, we got to fix it. And I'm like, so I remember I think I got it up. I put struts on it or something. I got it so like it was somewhat usable. I think we ended up still replacing it because it was just a disaster. But I got it at least so it was kind of working. And I think it was like it blew the second spring or something. That's probably why it didn't go up or something. And I just could not believe this sweet old lady looking at me. And I'm just like, why is your... Wait, I got one better. I got one better. Me and my business partner, when we first started, I forgot about this one. We got this job. I was working out of my house. My business was out of my house at the time. It's around the corner. Sweet, right? It's at this new subdivision. So my business partner, he goes over there. He takes a picture, right? And he comes back and he's like, whew. And I'm like, what's that mean? And he goes, man, I don't even know what to say. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, he says, the garage door is across the street in the field. I mean, this is like nice summertime, right? No winds, nothing. And I'm like, huh? I go, they just called. He goes, yeah. He goes, so I'm like, I drive over there because it's right around the corner. Sure enough. Well, some years go by, right? So we ended up replacing it or something. We were just being out in the field, taking a door apart, hinges and stuff. A couple years go by, and I find out at Lowe's, my uncle tells me, I think it was, he goes, oh, that girl right there, I don't remember how, but he goes, oh, yeah. He goes, she was cheating on a guy, and so the guy at the house, or husband member, blew through the garage door. That's why, and I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, he came over, and he came to the parking lot. The guy had like a 67 or something. I don't think it was a real high end, but basically a Ford Mustang, all redone. And I seen that car. There was a nice blue one, beautiful. It might have been like even a fastback. It had the crowd, just a beautiful car. And he goes, yeah, he came over the parking lot, right? He found out there's cheating. He said he smashed the car all up. Cops came, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there and everything's doing like the do. Oh my gosh, now I understand why that door was across the street. But I think that was probably the most interesting one that I thought, when my business partner comes in, he goes, the garage door is across the street. What do you mean? I mean, this is a brand new subdivision. Subdivision is only probably 2 or 3 years old. So, I mean, the door shouldn't be failing. And it was really weird. So, crazy. People do some crazy stuff. 2 types, yes. What job do you work? I do garage doors. UPS, the farmers in harvest plan. Oh man, late night calls. Ooh, I bet. I never thought about that because my one buddy that does a garage door business, he works pretty much exclusively for farmers, and he's always doing these massive doors in the dirt. And I'm always like, dude, because he'll call me like out of the blue, and he's like, do you got 16-foot long, low headroom track, double track? And I'm like, hell no, I ain't got nothing like that, dude. Oh, okay, I thought I'd just check. And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to call and order that stuff. It'll take a couple weeks. But I never thought the farmers, man, those guys are relentless. I mean, they're farmers. I mean, they're doing everything at night and stuff. I bet you're getting all kinds of phone calls. Commercial and garage doors, residential commercials. Good on you, Tanner. Oh man. It says put brand new. Tanner, brand new 24x18 door. Oh man. Pushed the wrong remote button 2 weeks. Oh no, missed the tractor. Oh, caught the planter. Oh, ripped the door out. Oh my gosh, man. That sounds expensive. Oh man. It says to tear out the damaged door, uninstall one. Oh man, other laser, use 24-foot door, reinstall place. Dang man, I bet. That's crazy. those big doors, man, they're different. Like I think the one of the biggest ones besides the airport hangar, different, those bifolds. Um, I did one with the two openers. That's weird, man. And it's those things take such a different mindset, because you're gonna be there, for a whole day or maybe 2 or 3 days. It's you got to be, you know, it's hard because like for me, I know we did a lot of residential and it's bouncing, right? You're boom, boom, boom. You're in here, you're out, you're out, you're stopping at the gas station. Now you're here, you go there. So when you get there, it's like you got to bring a lunch pail because you're gonna stay there all day. You don't want to leave. You might leave, if there's something close, but you might be out in Timbuktu, and it's 20, 30 minutes, to go get food. And it just depends on the mood of the day and how you're feeling. But you better bring a lunch pail just in case we do stay, so you got something to eat. And it's a different mindset. It really is. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you got to be kind of in tune. You got to turn the radio on, and you got to almost turn the phone off, and really be focused on what you're doing. My first high lift, we put in the grunt overhead door. Let's say I threw door up and no bumper springs. Ooh! Oh man. Oh man. Oh my gosh. That's a good one. That is a good one. I've seen them, they widen out and they blow past. I've seen damaged ones pretty good. But a lot of people think I'm crazy because I tell them with commercial doors anyways, standard lift, high lift, you name it. If it's a commercial door, I always do bumper springs. That's always like a must. And it was because the first time I remember we had a builder, and of course it's it's that winter time. It's the roads aren't the best, and I'm heavy into something already. The other guys are out doing something, and I got a call from the guy that was my foreman, and he's friends with the builder that kind of got us in with him, right? And he calls me, and he's like, "Hey man, you're kind of already over there," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm like on my knees and I'm buried in this." And he's like, "Yeah," he goes, "but the guys threw the door up and they threw it right through the back of the track." And I'm like, "What?" And this is not a standard lift door. And I'm like, "Can they send me a picture? Like it can't." And he's like, "Yeah, they're kind of having a hard time getting it back in there. So could you like, and it, you know how this goes, right? It's a heated building, and so people are getting cold. There's secretaries or whoever working here too or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh," like, so they sent me a picture, and I still wish I had the picture, but I don't. It was on an older phone, and I seen it, and I'm like, "Yep." I'm like, "That's screwed." I'm like, whew. I go out there, and luckily there's another guy there. I'm like, "Dude, help me." We're shoving this thing back in, and the one dude there, long hair, beard, and he's like, "I don't know what happened. I don't know how that happened, but I just, I picked it up." And I'm like, "Dude, next time when you pick it up, like hold the rope a little bit, like don't sling it." And I don't think we had the opener installed yet or something because it might not even got an opener. It was just they didn't have power or something wasn't right. The electrician hasn't been there yet or something. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I told myself, never, ever, ever, ever. I don't care. I just don't care because the bolts aren't enough sometimes. But I can totally picture a full vertical and somebody, those dock doors seem like they are the worst because people just, I don't know. We've all been there. I've worked there before. I don't know if they're drinking Red Bull or what, but man, it's like fun for them, right? Watch this. Man, they just whip those doors, and I've been across the building and like seen the door go up, and I'm like you know how it is, like you want to walk over there and be like, "Who's the son of a biscuit that did that? You don't do that crap. I'm firing you. You're not my employee, but I'm gonna find your boss. You're gonna get fired today. You do that again, you're fired." Like, oh, yeah, it's crazy. Well, if I'm giving you a headache, all you have to do is power off the phone. Oh, man. Commercial doors. We are in North Ottawa. It says, so this is, let me see who's, no, I can't do it. Tanner's not. What does it say? Man, I love commercial doors. We Northwest Iowa, so we do 24s to 30. Kind of remind me of the millennial. What's the guy? Who's that? The millennial farmer. The one guy that's always got that big equipment, the garage doors. Like I'm always watching the garage doors in the back. So I'm listening to them. You know, I think that Snert guy was out there not too long ago. Millennial farmer. Am I saying that right? Yeah, that's right. He's got the big equipment. It's like you watch everything they do. They make it. I mean, they got their challenges. Don't get me wrong, but it's like you know, it ain't like my grandpa. You know, with a little John Deere and one corn picker. You know, these guys got all this equipment that unfolds and they're. I think that one garage he has now is a huge, one of those bifold ones. Dumper springs on high lift. Always dumper springs? What do you mean by that, Dan? Dumper springs? Are you talking about something, or is this just like bumper? Oh, they're bumper springs. Yes, bumper. Got it wrong there. Okay, I got you now. I was just like, dumper springs. There's some new technology I don't know about. I must know because I don't know. It just seems like there should be a little bit better something out there that would help damper these doors a little bit. The bumper springs do work good, but when you got full verticals, they bounce so bad. You know, I brace them. I don't know if that's like a lot of people have to do that, but they just get so wobbly at the top. It seems like I'm constantly, if I have problems with them getting too wide or something, I'm bracing them. Doors with, let's see what's this one. Doors with bumpers and centers, swing post, a button installed. Oh man, manual crank. Big money. Yeah, man. Big stuff. Dude, that's a lot of moving parts. That stuff's intimidating. I ain't gonna lie. Like, when I worked on the airplane hangars and stuff, that with the straps and the motors, and then, like, those things can only be open in, like, certain wind conditions. Oh, that was always a bummer. You go there on a day that's, normally the weather's not the best or something, right? And it never seemed like they're like, well, we can't open it. And it's like, the wind's too high. It's like, crap. It's like, all right, well, paying you per door at residential development. Tanners, let's see. I've been thinking about working with builders, but they always try to pay me pennies. I agree. I feel the builders obviously they got to make money somehow, and but yeah, I have problems with builders too. I just sounds like the ambulance running by. Forklifts. And doors don't mix. Yeah, I've seen a lot of damage with forklifts, but I'm sure happy sometimes when they're around, especially if a cable pops off. You just got to have them go over there. You clamp the other side with some vice grips, and you just have them pick that side up a little bit, so you ain't got to get the old come along and the old grapple out. I'm always a fan. As long as they don't get crazy. People on forklift get a little rambunctious sometimes. Typically, I'm always happy if it's one of my guys because we understand what's going on. Where like the forklift guy's like a foot at a time, and I'm like, no, like very, very slow. Has Midland doors. Oh, that's cool. I haven't watched them in a while. I was watching them a little bit last year, I think. It's always, he's always interesting. Of course, we're in harvest. It seems like he kind of pops up more in my feed, and now they obviously slow down with the weather, But yeah, they got some big stuff, Also, I look at the. That's funny. That's funny. I'm always watching like when he's pushing the button. I'm like, how'd they mount that? They put conduit. Okay. What's the photo-wise look like? Or he'll do something up there, or maybe once in a while he'll tweak something, and I'm always like, what's the opener? You got a spreader bar on that? What? It's weird what we do is. You guys are probably like me, you go to a family event, right? You're sitting there, they put a picnic table or something inside a garage door, and you're sitting there just checking everything out, Man, whatever kind of lube they use made made everything look yellow. Back hangs look a little crooked. I would have done better. Putting high lift door, crane. Ooh, was put in wrong place. Dang, man. Retrofit. Thanks, man. Engine. Oh, man, that's a bummer. I've had that quite a bit with our builder. I can't tell you, I know it's at least been 2 or 3 times. They he always orders it this way, and then something happened, that something got looked, and that stupid crane, and then it's like, well, you can put another, foot or 2 foot in it, right? And it's like, yeah, but at what cost? You know what I mean? How's the springs going to react to this? Or you can bring it down, right? It's no big deal. And it's like, it'd be a lot easier if we just ordered it right the first time, you know. And so it's that's why I'm always like, the contract is always big, because it's like, this is what we ordered, this is what you said, instead of, it's like, well, I told you go out there and measure what? There was nothing there. It's just a field. There was no building. Well, you should have went back and bought. Yeah, when I went back, there was no concrete. There was a 20-foot hole. What am I supposed to, like? How this stuff's supposed to pan out. The keys word. Big problem up here. Doors snag. Oh man, stupid owners. Yeah, I bet. I do doors by the square foot. So on these developments, there are between 80 and 120 doors. Smart way to do it. Plus, so I drop your markup a little, but my square foot stays in the same. I do the work for a lot of developments. And again, yeah, it's not bad to do the square foot, especially when you got kind of the cookie cutter stuff going. Do you think I can make a profitable business by doing tech stuff? No installs. I don't know. That's a good question, Mr. Prime. I don't know. Maybe the guys could comment a little bit, because, like, I know for me, we don't do. It would be nice to have somebody to use for, like, the techie stuff, because for us, like, we're kind of dirty men. We don't want to go in with our boots and stuff like that and mess with your computer, or be touching your phone and the naked picture of your husband shows up or whatever. You know what I mean? But it would be nice. I know over here we have a lack of how do I say it? Technical guys for, like, let's say card readers, things of that nature. We get a lot of like, especially on, like, the gate side, like I do. We are, like, people will be like, well, we want a camera, and it's like, we don't do cameras. You know what I mean? So, like, everybody out here is a long wait. Even like some of our road commissions. I mean, those guys, they use what is that place called? Like Interstate or something like that. That's what it's called, or International Electrical Company or something. And I mean, they'll wait like 6 months to a year, and they don't like the price either. You know what I mean? Like, they say, like, they charge us. So it's like, if we come in there and say, well, we can do like a keypad, but like I said, you're doing some electrical install. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard, because sometimes you still got to do some kind of install a little bit, it seems like. But I know, like, for a lot of the garage door stuff, it'd be great to have somebody to be like, hey, call this person. I think you can. You might have to be into other things. You're not going to maybe be solely on it, because, like, I know for us, at least over in Michigan, we don't have a lot of people that are too much into the tech. It's more or less, my garage door don't open, make it go open and close for me. It's not, oh, the camera's not working, or this, that. Not to say it doesn't happen, but maybe more in the cities, the bigger cities, and where people are more concerned about cameras, theft, having ring doorbells and all that kind of stuff. Says, yeah, if you're doing stuff for home service, if you're not a dealer, it's hard to get parts. Ooh, that's something that is true. If you don't install them, they are then likely going to call the install company. That's a very good point, Tanner. I appreciate you putting that in there. Even Dan says it's truth, because that is, I mean, there's like, kind of like when I was doing the sliding doors, or automatic doors for shopping centers and Menards and stuff like that. It was so ingrained. Like, you got to call Stanley. What was another one? Like I don't remember, Horman or something. I can't remember which one it was. It's a door closer. I mean, and they were like, are you a dealer? And it's like, no. They're like, well, you got to call, and then you call them. And sometimes they were okay, sometimes they weren't. Sometimes they marked the stuff up, and you're like, by the time you come back with a price, if you had to bid something, they're like the other guy's like $1,000 cheaper, and it's like, well, they've been around for 80 years, and I'm a nobody, and they're marking me up, X amount of dollars. But if it's really, I think a lot of it, even in the garage doors and stuff like that, you can make a living if you're in love with it, you'll make a living. Because I don't do garage door. I mean, it puts food on the table. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot easier way to make the money. I could go get a job. You know what I mean, and not deal with the stress, the trucks, the breakdowns, the angry employees, blah 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 blah. Right, but it's the love of it. You know what I mean? It's not. It doesn't feel like work most of the time. It's a passion. It's something that you create if that's what you're passionate about. Like when I used to work in a shop and I pumped out bumpers, there was no gratification. The machine was running, the machine would break. You get a bumper, right? You never see the end product. I always loved the garage doors because you get to, I did that. You know what I mean? And somebody says, oh boy, it looks great. Thank you so much. And you get to make somebody happy, and you get to experience their home, and the whole atmosphere typically is positive. Some are not so positive, but it's if you're passionate about it, and you can almost take a loss for a while, or do it as a side gig, and then eventually it gets to be such a big side gig, that you turn it into a full-time gig. But you always have to remember that, like right now with the weird economy we're in, a lot of things you don't want to jump in too heavy right now. You want to just use caution. Have some different avenues is kind of nice sometimes. It says, the bigger the door, we charge more. For example, on last offer I got, one of the builders was going to pay less than $80 per 8. That sounds about right, which I rejected. That sounds about right. It's kind of like rolling steel doors, you know what I mean? Or I didn't realize how little money there is to make on storage unit doors, right? I used to drive by the storage unit doors, and I'd be like, oh, we gotta get that job. We're gonna make millions, and you find out that the company that's building it, their crew can do it for pennies on the dollar. And then if you try to come in there, you got to do it for like $20 a door, and you can almost knock them out in like 15 minutes if you got your stuff down. But you're like, it's that mindset. You're like, $20 a door? How do I make money at $20 a door? And I got 2 guys or whatever, whatever. And I got a truck here. Like, and I get if you're slamming them, but it's that's weird. Yeah. You can make some money, but I don't think you will make much on hooking up phones and cameras, but won't fill your week, in my opinion. That's true. It could be. Like I said, it just depends on, I think Tanner's right with the whole, can you get, because if you start running into, you need parts, where do you get these parts? I mean, this stuff is like, a lot of it's not 2x4s, hammers and nails. You go to Ace Hardware, you go to Menards, anywhere, and you can find 2x4s, hammers, and nails. But when it comes to a keypad, when it comes to an interlock, a magnet lock, a capacitor, man, that stuff, that gets really tough. You know what I mean? I experienced it in the garage doors. That's why I kind of like the generic stuff. If you don't have standard hinges, things like that, because things just happen. You forgot to restock the truck. You're up north doing something, and all of a sudden you're on a door, and there's nothing better than going, it's a standard hinge. Hey, man, run down to the local Ace Hardware or Menards. They got them in stock. They're like $5 a pair or whatever. Get it. We need a roller, right? Instead of it being God only knows what, rollers are pretty much standard, but I think you get my point. Says if thing make, it won't make, says our HOH made big mistake of facing doors of 16 hangers. Ooh, with cement board. Cement board? Ooh, that sounds horrible. I just messed with that stuff. It chewed up my bit. I was trying to make it for a pipe exit, whatever, chimney for a fire pit thing, whatever. And I was trying to use my little, I don't know what they call them, they're vibrators that you use for like trim and stuff. It ate the crap out of the bit. That's a different animal. Big question, guys. What like changing out? Oh, big question, guys. Who likes? That's a good one, Dan. So I did one. So I'll give you my opinion on the mall job. Doing what was this? A big question. Who likes changing out mall grill doors? My mall grill door for Yonkers is who I did it for. Was a huge moneymaker. Huge moneymaker. I'm talking, I think, in excess of over $10,000 profit. I didn't even know how I was going to add as much money. Now, it could have been kind of more of a one-off because now I have done service on them, and that's been a little through the third parties, which I do know they mark up. So if you ever get into a bind, you might be able to call them back and say, hey, I add another $300 because they probably are adding like $1,000 or something on top of you, which is crazy because you'll give them a price. But mine, when I did Yonkers, I went in there and I asked a question, right? This guy said, I got to get 3 bids. And he seemed like a pretty nice guy. So I told him, I said, what did you, he said, I already got 1 or something. And I said, what'd that guy come in at? And he goes, just under 40, I think it was, 40 grand. Now, mind you, this was like 12 years ago or something, So I'm like, okay, and I have no clue. And now we, don't, mind you, we got to tear out drywall. There's all kinds of stuff. And so I went back and I called our vendor, and I think it was like 12 or 16 grand for the door. And I'm like, wow, like that's a huge. So I'm like, what am I missing here? So I was trying to be like not like selfish, but I padded that job. I got up into like the 30s or something like that, and I had labor in there, and I did have a guy that was doing drywall, but nothing extreme. I had some rental equipment that we used. A lot of stress. And of course, the guy dropped it on me that we had to, how did he do it? It was something with like Thanksgiving or Christmas. We were supposed to do it that weekend. We were supposed to start on a Saturday. I had a crew of guys, and the reason is that I figured if we worked late on Saturday, the drywall guy could come in Sunday night or Saturday night, start doing his, and then everybody can go home and go to sleep and go to their normal jobs. Because I pulled these guys that had normal day jobs. And I had a couple of my own guys, but we needed more manpower. Well, it just, the guy can't do it on Saturday. We got some special going. It's going late, whatever. You got to do it on Sunday, or you can wait till Christmas or something. I'm like, dude, I got this roll-up door in my front yard. Like, I don't want this thing. I got, whatever, 12, 16 grand sitting out there that I want to get, I want to get this build. So I'm like, nope, we'll do it Sunday. So everything kind of went as planned. We had some damage that happened. But it was great. I told myself at one point, I said, if I did like maybe 3, 4, or 6 of these a year, well, especially the small crew I had at the time, I was like, I wouldn't have to work for like most of the year. So I don't know if that's a normal, or it was one-off, but a lot of stress, but it was good money. I liked it. So the Nitro, that's a rip-off. I would not touch it for any less. $225. That's funny, Tanner, you say that because, like I said, I remember when I was in Arizona. Oh, man, is that sheet still here? That'd be so cool. There used to be a sheet sitting around here that we had for reference. Let me see. Let me just check real quick. That's not it. Darn. I wish I had. There was a sheet that used to sit around here that I brung from the guys down there in Arizona. And they were like installing like openers for like $20 and doors for like 60, like 16 by 7s. And I'm like, and I remember the guy's name was Dave. He was a really cool dude. And he's like, I'll give you this so you have something to kind of reference. But he goes, I'm telling you, he goes, up in Michigan, he goes, this ain't going to fly. And I was like, oh, heck no. I was like, heck, I'm paying guys. At the time, it was like $218, $225 for like a sub for doing like 16 by 7s. And this guy, man, I worked with, he was a super cool. He was like kind of some Hispanic or something. Super nice guy. And I mean, he had a little bag, like one power, like maybe like a small little drill. And he showed me some tricks with those Wayne Dalton doors. And he was just like, I'm sitting there like, this is all you got? Like this little bag of tools, a couple wrenches. I mean, this guy was flying. He was amazing. And I just was like, after I seen the price, and I kept thinking, holy cow! And he had like 4 doors. I think he was going 4 installs that day. And he was like, he's like, you coming to the next one? And I'm like, no, man. I was like, I'm gonna go back to the office. I got some stuff I gotta, talk to them and stuff. But I just couldn't believe like, and the guy said down here, he said labor's just so cheap. He says we can, we can get it for like nothing. But I wish I had that chart still because it showed everything priced out for. And I was like, wow, so that's amazing. Says I did better as a employee installing after hours for cash. Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth when you get in business, man? Yeah. And when you're a business owner, man, it's not all rainbows. It really isn't. People, they come into my life and they're just like, I've had guys that are like, oh my gosh, you got a shop, you got a house, you got all these vehicles, I'm like, dude, it ain't like it didn't happen overnight. Oh my, you must be making millions. It's like, no, it's called late hours and a lot of sacrifice and working your hiney off. And how much do you want to sacrifice? I mean, I just, it's yeah. And then when you start having to pay, the unemployment, you have to pay the taxes, you have to pay workman's comp, and I mean, just it's like, and you got the guys that are in there, and they're like, I need a raise, and you're like, everything you give as a raise is double on my end. So if you're a $30 an hour employee, you're more like a $60. I mean, it's for by the time I do workman's, I do the payroll, the paychecks, the systems I use. It's like, dude, till later. It says till later in life when growth came, take helpers, slap them in 30 was never a problem. Oh man, we could take one helper and slap them in 30. What does it say? Ways is it never a problem? Apartment buildings. Yeah, it says at that rate, I would have to install 4 doors just to afford my helper. Yeah, that's it'd be good for like a guy that's like just a one-man band, one chuck in a truck. That's if you're gonna do it for, what was it, $80 or whatever per door. I mean, that's got to be like that's like like, are we? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's that including? Weather seal, angle, jams are all perfect. I don't know. That's tough. That's tough. But on the bright side, you think about it, you really don't got much garbage. There's probably going to be a dumpster there for all your garbage from the new door. And you just got a radio in yourself, and you just kind of jam at it. Tell them you want cash. Tell them, say, I want cash. Tell them I want cash. Says at the raise. Says Hunter, I love them. Always problem. Works out. Plus all the aluminum to salvage from old doors. That's true. There is money. You can make money, on some of the scrap. Scrap around here, I know, hasn't been the best. We actually we don't even really get nothing from our scrap. We've converted to a dumpster because it became like, I don't know why, but it became like candy for the guys. Like they would see the trailer full and they were like, hey Dave, can we take it? Which I never understood because they still have to show me a receipt and they bring back the cash. And unless there's some way I know that they're pilfering, which I guess in a nutshell they could have probably dumped half of it, went and checked out or something, went back in and dumped the rest of it or something. But they were always so giddy, and I would go there a few times towards the end, and we're whipping doors off trailers and stuff, and a couple times they come past your face, or one catches the trailer and does something weird, or you get a flat tire, and it was like, you know what, this is getting ridiculous. And if I was a small company, I would still do it. It's hey, $200 is $200. But it got to the point where it's like, this is just, if this takes out one of my guys, that's going to cost me way more than what this thing could ever make. Because like I said, to me, my workers they're like fighter jet pilots. You know what I mean? And the plane is like nothing. You know what I mean? Screw the plane. I need you in full. I need you to have all your eyes and your fingers and your toes, and I can put you in another vehicle. I can put you in another scissor lift. I can buy you another garage door. But if you get injured and you're off for 2 weeks, that's, man, we might lose the war. I love them always proud. Let's see. I can so relate. Rome was not built in a day. So true. My respect for you. Well, I appreciate that. Move to the PNW. What is that? This was back in the day when scrap was great. Yeah, scrap has really gone to crap. I'm not gonna lie. I was very disappointed. I think we had a time there when the cough syndrome was going around, and we had like 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks that I remember. It was like we were like shut down. Like it was like you go out to the main. We got a 6-lane road out here, and it's like you go out there and it's like, hello, where's everybody at? And it's like, and there was like nothing. And I was like, and of course, Uncle Sam wasn't doing a very good job. We were trying to get stuff, people switched over to unemployment just to make sure we were covered. And some were getting it, some weren't. And I was determined to go down with a ship. I was like, hey, these people have bills, they have house payments, they have to be paid. I don't care. We got to keep paying them. And I mean, you know how it is when you're the captain of the ship? You will do anything to keep that damn thing floating. And that's just what you do as men. And so I was hopping and taking scrap metal out. I was doing anything I could just to generate any kind. I didn't care if it was $20. I would have been installing those doors for $80, $85 a door. That would have been some darn good money. I'd take it, especially if it was cash. I would have been eating it up, because at the time it was just, we couldn't do nothing. We had jobs that certain builders just didn't make us. We couldn't go to. It was some scary times. I hope we never go back into that. That was everybody's job's important, and if somebody wants to stay home, stay home. But otherwise, I want to go to the damn restaurant. I'll sign a waiver. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go eat, I kept looking at it going, boy, if they, especially for those restaurant people, if they would say, you know what, we got to close you down for X amount, whatever, for however long, it's passing my brain for some reason, but, you're not going to have to pay property taxes. Okay. That sounds a little more fair, because that building's still wearing, it's the shingles, the roofing, the windows, and this person cannot make a living. That's sad. That's sad. And we had to go in like criminals, because we had vehicles that were wrapped and stuff. Park those things around the back. Don't let nobody know you're here. You got a tarp? I got no tarp. Guys, we're in this huge buildings, right? We're up in 20 feet up in the air. Guys, just make sure. What a weird life. What a weird situation. Like I said, it's just. What's her name over here? Oh, Gretchen. She really put the hammer down on one of our small business that's tried, restaurants tried to stay open. She really made an example out of them. That was sad. I just thought, I cannot believe we are grown-ass people and we have to be treated like children. You go to an amusement park, and if you want to ride the sling that throws you like a rubber band in the air, you have to sign a waiver that if you die, you can't sue. I'll sign a waiver that I won't sue if I eat your food, or if I get a bug, and I don't know. It was sad. Let's see here. I was going on a rant. Sorry about that. I was back in the day. Says I was giving scrap to my dad. Oh, one of my tires is worth more than. That's not the truth. That tire's worth more, man. It's so true. Oh, man, and your time. Trailer at the shop. I know a guy. He kind of did it the right way. I think this is my buddy. He passed away, but he was running his. He did his garage door stuff, and he said, "Man, he goes, we just make a big pile." He says, I don't know. I assume like I'd probably get a 55-gallon drum and get a lid or something, but so I have your nuts and bolts and stuff. You don't want that all. That's just a mess in the yard. But he said we just pile it all up, and then he says, I think it was once a year, they call Republic or whoever when prices were decent or better, and they would call them and they would just have like a couple days or whatever it was, and they would just load the bins and have them truck them out. I thought that's not a bad idea because now you're not paying for containers sitting there. You kind of have a golden nest sitting there for you. It's not a bad idea, because then, hey, scrap's up right now. Let's go ahead and, turn it in, or, I guess you could always truck it yourself, but I agree, like Tanner, like a tire, you blow out a tire, which I got a flat tire once, and that was not fun, It says, I hear you, Dave. We need to hold on to our crews. Yes, exactly. Stay hungry. That's right. Time to sleep, church. Yes, church is tomorrow. I think I'm gonna head out too because I gotta wrap up. We had a little, like I said, we had a frost problem, so I'm really close. I got a couple more fittings, and there's tomorrow. Like I said, after church you can do stuff. Get stuff done. And we still got one more day, and then it's back to the grind. So I appreciate you guys being here. I really do. And like Tanner, like I said, make some videos, man. Send them. Email, whatever, through. It's easier actually to go through YouTube. If you got your channel, just download it on there and then send it, and you can just do listed, so it only either comes to me or whoever you want. So it doesn't have to be public if you don't want it to be, or you can make it public so other people can see it, which is always great. And if you ever have, I can always help you through it. So you can always call or email me or whatever, or text me. We'll make something happen. I want to see the laser. And Dan, thanks for being here. It was nice talking to you. I'd love to chat with you some more for sure, because I'd like to. 40 years, man. I don't think I know anybody in my life that's had 40 years in the garage door business. I don't think I know anybody, and that's quite a testament. That's I bet you got a lot of knowledge. That's for sure. I bet you've been through some good and some bad. So, all right, guys, go to sleep. Get your sleep. Keep all your fingers. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Turn this off somehow. Goodbye.